Good morning. Prime Minister Andy Burnham is under fire after confirming PC Andrew Harper's killers will be released from prison early.
Well, Harper's widow condemns the decision as an utter betrayal, with Burnham announcing that only grooming gang predators, rapists and child sex offenders will be excluded from the early release scheme.
Well, with backlash mounting, is this really the right time for the Prime Minister, who's been in the job just 2 weeks, to jet off on his summer holiday?
And the European Union is finally set to hold emergency talks today to discuss the migration crisis after those shocking scenes in Ceuta.
More small boat migrants are expected to cross the Channel today after it was revealed that more than 2,000 illegal migrants have made the journey to Dover since Andy Burnham took over as Prime Minister. Could Nigel Farage's plan to use the military to protect our borders be the silver bullet solution that Britain so desperately needs?
If the Royal Navy is not there to protect this country from invasion, then frankly, I can't see what its purpose is.
And United States President Donald Trump tells GB News what he makes of Andy Burnham. That's as he shares his thoughts on Europe's migration crisis.
I think we're going to have a very good relationship. We'll see. I'm not going to tell him how to run his country, but I can tell you, immigration is an incredible problem for Europe.
A 26-year-old Afghan migrant is held by Greek authorities over the murder of a Scottish woman in Athens.
And elsewhere, a disturbing rise in racism towards NHS workers is a cause for concern. So is it time for the government to do more to protect frontline workers?
A very good morning. Vinicius Jr. is back in training at Real Madrid ahead of talks over his future. Arsenal are reported to be poised with a bid for the Brazilian superstar. And another day, another blow for Gianni Infantino. UEFA say they'll set up their own rival version of the World Cup.
A wet start to the day today, but not in those areas where rain is most needed. Find out more about the contrasts in weather up and down the country in the forecast coming up soon.
Good morning. It's just gone 6 o'clock. I'm Ellie Costello.
And I'm Alex Armstrong, and this is GB News Breakfast.
It seems we're not the only ones suffering with the heat at the moment. Apples. Great British apples are suffering too. Yeah. A farmer who lives in Kent has said he's had to start spraying his apples with sun cream.
What?
Not real sun cream.
Oh.
It's like a clay paste, but it acts as sun cream.
Right.
To protect the apples, because apparently once it gets over 30 degrees, the juice inside the apple starts boiling and the fruit cooks itself.
Oh.
So he didn't want to lose his whole crop, so he started putting clay paste on the outside of his apple.
This must be a disaster for farmers. I was thinking about
It's
that.
got to be really tough for farmers out there.
I've been really getting into Jeremy Clarkson's farm. The farm.
Great,
Clarkson's
isn't it?
farm.
So
Brilliant.
good.
So good.
Is it? Is it worth a watch?
Brilliant.
It is actually worth the watch.
We recommend.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, Clarkson's. I mean, he's just great TV.
But he's just great anyway, isn't he?
But this, I was thinking, how bad is it going to be? How bad is it going to be for them? Because this has got to be one of the longest periods we've had without any rain.
Yeah, it's been the
south.
driest July on forecast, isn't it? Yeah, England and Wales, the driest July on record.
Yeah, it's
Only
been very dry.
6.5 millimetres of rain fell in England, 10% of what it would be on average.
Yeah, that's bad. It is literally if you're up perhaps in Scotland, you've had a bit more rain. If you were to come down to England at the moment, particularly the south and London, it is barren.
Yeah.
It's literally barren. Barren,
Must
brown.
be really tough for farmers at the moment. But there you go, that's it. That's a farmer thinking outside the box.
What's your favourite apple then?
Oh, Pink Lady.
Oh, yeah, Pink Lady's nice, yeah. Not that kind of juicy splash when you sort of bite into it. I know what you're
No, I don't really know what the difference is. Can I be honest?
They've all got very different tastes.
I don't buy green apples, I buy the red ones.
OK.
I don't know why.
Do you know, are they small or big?
They're like medium size.
I find the big red ones are just a bit leathery on the outside.
Yeah, they are a
Just-
bit leathery.
just my opinion.
Yeah.
And not very sweet.
Yes. Again, it's about that. It's a peakness. You leave it 2 days too long, you're getting the dryness coming through. It's not the peak apple that you can really, you should really be celebrating at this time of year.
I have to. I know nothing about apples.
Oh, you should. There's so many different types. I like a stewed apple as well.
There you go. What's your favourite apple at home? gbnews.com/yours. That'll get you chatting this morning.
It will. All right, 4 minutes past 6. The Prime Minister, Andy Burnham, is facing pressure after it emerged that the two men convicted over the 2018 killing of the police officer Andrew Harper could still be eligible for early release from prison.
Baffling stuff, isn't it? That's after Burnham announced that offenders convicted of grooming gang rape will be excluded from the scheme.
Well, under the changes, rape and child sexual offences will be added to the list of crimes that are ineligible for early release.
But questions are now being raised over why the two men convicted over PC Harper's death do not appear on that list. And we've now got Deputy Editor of Spikes Online, Fraser Myers, here. Fraser, the shocking thing about this is that the Prime Minister directly addressed PC Harper's killers' early release and said he would do something about it. What's gone on?
Yeah, when Andy Burnham came in, he had this problem on his desk, inherited from Keir Starmer's administration, that there was a planned early release of prisoners. And he said, I think to some plaudits, that I'm going to review this. This can't happen on my watch. Now it turns out that the plans to restrict early release are a lot more limited than he suggested, and so it will only be sex offenders, the most serious sex offenders, that will be blocked from early release. And people who committed manslaughter, like these two men, will be released early as planned. And I think what's extraordinary about all of this is that when the early release idea was sort of talked about in 2024 when Labour came in, this was supposed to be an emergency response to what they called years of Tory neglect. But now this has become routine. And in fact, more than 50,000 criminals have been released early from prison since Labour took over. And we're just seeing this essentially form of neglect being institutionalised. Releasing prisoners early has become the way of dealing with our problem of overcrowded prisons. And it's not just that. At the other end, criminals, under the same law that allows for the early release, criminals are essentially being given suspended sentences. So people who commit knife crime, who are caught with a knife, are no longer facing prison. Shoplifters were very rarely faced prison before, and they're almost guaranteed to not face prison now. So every element of the justice system is breaking down here, and it seems as if no one really has a plan to fix things. There's no plan to massively expand prisons or to, get a grip on something like migration, which is a big cause of crime that's completely unnecessary.
When is the wake-up call finally going to happen then? We've been at crisis point for 2 years now, and we're constantly hearing that the prison system is going to be overwhelmed. It was going to be this autumn. And now, even with these changes that we're talking about today, there's talk of next spring. What is going to be done? Are there going to be Nightingale prisons? Are there going to be huge expansion programmes? Because something needs to happen and fast.
Well, the government says that it is expanding prisons, but clearly it needs to do things a lot faster. There hasn't been any, for instance, emergency legislation to speed up the planning of, to speed up the planning applications that hold back the construction of prisons, as well as just about everything else. Understandably, a lot of people don't want to live near a prison. There needs to be a lot more staff recruitment. One problem we had inherited from the last government was the fact that a lot of prison officers, experienced prison officers, were sacked or let go as part of the austerity programme. But then the newer people that were hired don't really have the same experience as them. So actually, we have... It's not a like-for-like replacement, essentially. So prisons are understaffed. There's not enough capacity. These things need to be dealt with. They need to be... someone needs to grab them by the scruff of the neck. But it seems as if it's a problem that I think most politicians would rather not look at. They face it when it reaches crisis point. Yeah. So that we'll talk about it for a few days and then we'll move on and we'll wait until the next crisis a few months down the line, which is just a terrible way of managing things. They've effectively given up on their duty to protect the public from criminals.
It does seem that way. Well, Fraser, thank you very much for joining us this morning. We do have a right of reply here from the Justice Secretary, Alex Norris, who gave the following statement. The Prime Minister and I have reviewed these reforms, listened to the concerns and gone further to protect victims. Victims will also have access to better support and reassurance that offenders leaving prison face tougher supervision and punishment. And we should say we're talking to Alex Norris just after 9 o'clock this morning, aren't we? So we can put a lot of these questions to him, so don't miss that. Indeed. Right, moving on, the European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen has called for emergency talks today amid growing tensions between EU member states after almost 70,000 Moroccans poured into the Spanish enclave of Ceuta last week.
Well, meanwhile, pressure is building upon Andy Burnham to come up with a solution to the illegal migrant crisis, with over 2,000 people crossing the Channel since the beginning of his premiership.
We can now speak to former Independent Chief Inspector of Borders and Immigration, John Vine. John, thanks for joining us this morning. Yeah, I think everyone was shocked to see those scenes last week. It's taken a week for this emergency meeting to take place. I just can't believe it. An emergency meeting when the crisis is practically over. I know there's conflicting reports about how many young men are still in Ceuta at this point in time. Journalists on the ground say there are 1,000 still, but the media, the mainstream media, is reporting that it's only in a few hundred. What sorts of provisions might they make today to stop a future crisis?
Well, good morning, Alex. Good morning, Ellie. Well, look, it's. I think the European countries are really worried that, of course, one of the things that actually concerns them is the breach of the external European border. So for that reason, we've been talking about the new entry-exit system, which has held so many people up when they go on holiday. So this is a mass breach. What we've seen at Ceuta is a mass breach of border control for the EU. And the European countries are concerned that those migrants that we see on the screen at the moment are going to make their way through mainland Europe to their borders. And that's why, for example, the Italians have said, you know, we need to put emergency controls in place at our borders to make sure they don't come into Italy. And so, you know, it's a bit of a crisis for the EU because basically one of their member countries, i.e. Spain, seems to be much softer in its approach to dealing with people like this than other European countries. And the other European countries are afraid that they're going to have these people land at their borders, and under the Schengen arrangement, they're going to be able to enter without any border control. So that's why the meeting needs to take place, so they can get their act together, in effect.
Well, meanwhile, should we talk about the plans here at home? Because we saw Reform UK announce their plan yesterday, which was to get the Navy involved in order to return migrants to France. And you will have seen that France responded to that, saying that it would breach maritime laws. What's your assessment of all of this?
Well, I think it's possible, but it needs tremendous political will to do it. There'll be quite a considerable amount of legal challenge to it. And it rather does depend on the French. So, you know, when I started commenting on this yesterday, the French hadn't actually said or given us a reaction about the proposal. They've now given us a reaction. And, you know, as I predicted, it's a fairly negative one. So the idea of the Navy getting involved has been tried before. We had, in a few years ago, it was 2022 or 23, I think it was under Boris Johnson's premiership, we had Operation Isotrope, and the Navy took charge of border force vessels in the Channel and used their own vessels. And the whole idea was played out for nearly a year, where the Navy were the lead authority in terms of stopping the boats and then doing something with the people they picked up. It was abandoned less than a year in because it wasn't working. And it wasn't working because basically the migrants just jumped on the Royal Navy boats and they were brought back to the UK. So the difference with this plan is that the idea, presumably, is that the Royal Navy then takes sails over to a French port, drops anchor, drops off the migrants, and then waves bye-bye. But of course, that's only going to work if the French authorities allow it to work. And if they don't, and as they said, obviously, yesterday, they think it's a breach of international law, it looks as though you might end up with a situation where the Royal Navy is in a standoff with the French Navy, which doesn't look good for two NATO allies, does it?
No, I did put that to their Home Affairs spokesperson for Reform UK yesterday, Zia Youssef, and he said, well, actually, the French have a contractual obligation to stop the boats in their waters and to bring them back, and that was his response to it. John, what, in your opinion, is the way we solve this crisis? You've been doing this job for your job formally for a long time. How do we stop it from happening?
Well, because what we're doing with enforcement is we're just dealing with the symptom. So we need to tackle the incentives. There's been no. We had a discussion for years about the Rwanda scheme that was abandoned before it even started. But the whole idea of a deterrent to prevent people from coming in this way seems to have been abandoned as well. So what this government is doing is just relying on enforcement. But whilst there's demand for this, and that people are saying, here's some money to organise crime, here's some money, take me to Britain. So while ever there's that demand and we don't address that demand, we're always going to have an element of illegal entry via this way. Now, I know the government will say, well, figures are down by 40% this year. That means I think this year we're going to end up with about 30,000 migrants travelling across the Channel. That's in 2021 figures. Last year was the second highest on record. And I remember when I started commenting about this, 2018 it started, okay? The then Home Secretary came back from his holiday because we had a crisis. That year there were 299 people who travelled across the Channel in this way. So it's just an ongoing problem because the demand is there and there's a supply. So this government just haven't smashed the criminal gangs. They're making inroads into it. But as soon as they arrest people who are involved in this trade, other people take their place. So somebody needs to devise a way to prevent the demand. I mean, in a way, Reform are saying we're going to tackle this through even greater enforcement. But I don't think enforcement alone is going to do the trick and hasn't done so far.
OK, John Byrne, really good to get your assessment this morning. Thank you very much for joining us on GB News Breakfast.
Thank you,
John.
It's a pleasure.
It is fascinating, isn't it? Because at the end of the day, I think one of the things by deploying the Navy, you show the British people you're serious
You're
about
serious,
this.
yeah. And that's half of it.
It's half of it, especially if you're the government and 99% of what you do is what people see. Right, so deploy the Royal Navy, but then have a mass deportations plan or something like that to back it up and actually start showing that the numbers are going to zero. We're doing something in the Channel to try and turn them around. Have a little bit of to and fro with the French. People love that. People love to fight the French here in this country.
We've been doing it throughout time, haven't we?
Yeah, I just don't see anything wrong with trying. I think we've got to be more. We've got to have a bit more political will in this country, even if it's not a silver bullet.
Yeah. But John's right. We also need to tackle the root cause, don't we?
Yeah.
Why do they want to come here in the first place? We need to start to stop those pull factors.
Anyway, we were talking about apples.
Yes.
We're talking about apples. Just before we get to the weather, James said Cox's pipe is my choice of apple.
Oh, well, there you go. But everyone's got a favourite type of apple. We're gonna find out what your one is.
Jupiter apples, crisp, juicy, not too sweet.
Jupiter apples. Yeah, that's a good one.
I don't know anything about apples. I found this out today.
Don't they remind you of your childhood?
No.
There was an orchard near my brownie hut, and we used to always go pick apples. It always reminds me of my childhood. Very wholesome.
It sounds like you were born in the 1940s.
Maybe I was. I was born in the countryside. But
it was a better time.
There you go. But no, we'll find out what your favourite apple is.
All right, we'll figure it out. Should we get the weather with Aidan first?
Yeah, let's.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boiler sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello, good morning. Welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. A warm and humid day for many of us, especially towards the south and the east. Rain or showers, especially towards the north and the west, with thunderstorms for some. It's actually a damp start to the day for Scotland, for Northern Ireland. Heavy and persistent rain. Showers, meanwhile, moving through parts of Wales and the west of England. And the rain across Scotland and Northern Ireland breaks it into showers with thunderstorms likely for Northern Ireland. These slow-moving storms could cause impacts through the afternoon and evening, especially given the time of year. Drier towards the east and southeast, and with some sunshine, and still another day with temperatures into the low 30s and high humidity. It's going to feel really quite warm. Meanwhile, not feeling warm at all across northern Scotland. Persistent rain and low cloud expected with a keen breeze from the east. Here are these lively showers across central and southern Scotland with some rumbles of thunder mixed in. Likewise, slow-moving thunderstorms continuing into the evening for Northern Ireland. Hit and miss showers, central and western England as well as Wales, interspersed by some brighter spells, but the best of the sunshine as we end the day East Anglia and the southeast, with the warmth continuing overnight. Another humid, muggy night to come for many. Areas of clouds swirling around the United Kingdom and some showers popping up just about anywhere. Very little meaningful rainfall in the south and southeast where it's most needed, but there could be a few drops here and there. More persistent wet weather continuing for the north of Scotland and Northern Ireland. And a warm start to Wednesday, but actually during Wednesday we see this change in wind direction, west to northwesterlies, bringing a fresher feel. Still mostly dry for England and Wales, sunny spells, and aside from a few showers in the north and west, a mostly fine day. Scotland and Northern Ireland, meanwhile, damp weather continuing and feeding on the cool side, fresher conditions towards the southeast.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boiler sponsors the weather on GB News.
Now, 20 minutes past 6, let's take a look at some other stories coming into the newsroom this morning.
United States President Donald Trump has exclusively told GB News that he hopes to have a great relationship with Prime Minister Andy Burnham. But he must get control of energy and immigration first.
I think we're going to have a very good relationship. We'll see. I'm not going to tell him how to run his country, but I can tell you, immigration is an incredible problem for Europe. You're allowing people in that in many cases are not going to help you. I'm going to be nice. They're not going to help you. And the people that are there, people from your country, people from other countries that have been there for a long time and did a great job, beautiful place. Look, I love it. You know, my parents both came from Europe indirectly. So a German, a Scot, and you know, it's like one of those things. It's very sad. When I see what's happening to Europe, it's very sad to me. But they have a problem with immigration. They have a problem with energy. You have windmills all over the place. Windmills, you lose your shirt. Any country with windmills is a loser, okay? You just have to look. If they have windmills, they're a loser. Because you lose money with windmills.
Elsewhere today, a 26-year-old Afghan migrant has been arrested following the death of a Scottish woman whose body was found inside a suitcase in the Greek capital of Athens. 38-year-old Elizabeth Jane Ross was found by a homeless man in a derelict building last month.
And elsewhere, Meghan Markle celebrates turning 45 today. Although the Sussexes have not officially confirmed their plans for the special day, it's likely that they will mark the occasion privately.
We've been talking about apples this morning, haven't we? Because apples are suffering in this heat. And there's one farmer in Kent who's actually spraying his apples with sun cream. Not real sun cream, it's like a clay paste to try and protect them, because apparently once it gets over 30 degrees, the apples start boiling themselves. Anyway, it's got us talking about our favourite apples.
It has.
Sandra says me, she says pink ladies are her favourite.
Yeah, there you go.
We've established what your favourite
We
apple
found
is,
out
by the
because
way.
we've been Googling, haven't we? What was it again, Ellie?
You used to eat Royal Gala apples.
Chopped up by my mum for me.
How cute.
God bless her.
How cute. And you like them?
Yeah, I love them.
Very
Yeah.
good.
Chopped up even better.
It does taste better when it's chopped up for
know
some
why.
reason. I don't know.
Just maybe get straight to the juice.
Maybe. Somebody else has been in touch saying the jazz apples are the best.
Jazz apples. What are jazz apples?
I have no idea.
Oh, we're going to find out.
We're going to find out. Anyway,
All right.
keep your views coming in on that and any other story that we're talking about today. Do you
Absolutely.
special say?
And still to come, racism is on the rise in the National Health Service. We're going to bring you the shocking details. That's coming up next.
Here at GB News, we made a promise to tell your stories.
And on the 6th of August, we're marking 5 years of doing exactly that.
Celebrate with us by having your say. Join in the debates live on TV and radio.
And tune in as your favourite presenters are live across the country, from Leeds to Aberdeen, from Belfast to Barry Island.
Plus, join me in Essex for our biggest live show of the year. Tune in this Thursday, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Some people enjoy lazy Sunday mornings, but not me.
What's the truth of the matter? So that's a very live question. Would you support him if he waters down these plans?
Before the spin sets in, I'll be getting to the truth.
This is personal.
No soft questions, no easy answers.
It's one thing if the state has rules in this country. It's another thing whether the police and others actually police them.
Setting the agenda and holding those in power to account.
You can't really blame her if the system is set up this way. You will not want to miss it, trust me.
The Camilla Tominey Show, Sundays from 9:30, only on GB News.
Welcome back to Breakfast. It's 6:26. Now, NHS staff are facing a growing wave of racist abuse from patients. That's according to a new report.
Well, patients have reportedly refused treatment from healthcare workers, citing their race as the reason why.
Well, the Society of Radiographers says incidents have risen significantly over the past 18 months and is calling on the NHS to formally record and monitor cases of racist abuse.
We're now joined by former NHS Trust CEO and former CEO of the RCN, Dr. Peter Carter, OBE. Dr. Peter, thank you very much for joining us this morning. Tell us a little bit more about what many people at home won't understand this, or they won't. Obviously, they're not on the front lines of the NHS, so they won't perhaps experience it themselves. But tell us exactly what's going on.
OK, well, over just the last year, there's been a huge rise in the incidence of racist abuse to staff across the piece. And people are conflating their misgivings about things that you've covered, such as the boat crossings with people working in the NHS, and bizarrely saying things such as, "You are taking our jobs." Now, the reality is that the NHS for decades has been dependent on people from overseas coming to work in the NHS. Now you will find something like 48% of doctors are from an ethnic minority background, about 40% of nurses. And in some of our hospitals, particularly in inner city areas, the majority of staff come from an ethnic minority background. And staff and the radiographers have done a really interesting and very worrying piece. Many staff on a daily basis are subjected to appalling comments. And in my view, these people should be prosecuted. There is no excuse for referring to a black person in a very disparaging and racist way. And if people were doing it out on the streets, they would be prosecuted. And in my view, the same thing should happen if people do it in hospitals.
And what do you think the NHS should be doing in order to deal with this, Dr. Peter? Do you think that in some instances they should be refusing care? Because I was reading in this report that a number of staff members just feel like they have to accept this kind of treatment. They just see it as part of the job, unfortunately.
Well, in terms of non-emergency care, if people are racist, you can refuse care. You can say to someone, "No, I'm sorry, we're not prepared to put up with that." But frontline clinical staff need support from senior managers, and senior managers should be making it clear, if you're subjected to something like that, you need to let us know at the time, and a senior manager will come down and deal with it. Now, what you cannot do is refuse emergency care, and clinicians would not wish to do that. But we need to be sending out a firm, unequivocal message to people that if you racially abuse the very people that are trying to help you, there will be consequences. And currently, that message is not given firmly enough to the public, and as a consequence, people feel very confident about making these disparaging comments with a sort of sense that there are no consequences.
Yeah, it's shocking stuff to hear, Dr. Peter. When it comes to jobs here in the UK for doctors, I have spoken quite often to union members, actually, and what they tell me is that despite there being tens of thousands of young British people who have passed qualifications and reach, the high standard that we set for the NHS, they can't get jobs in the NHS. And we've obviously just checking the data, and over 2024, 20,000 internationally trained doctors brought into the UK. That's 66% of all new joiners. Is there a case to be made to actually hire British doctors as well? I think there's also, I see incidents of people online who feel like they can't communicate clearly with doctors and perhaps even nurses at A&E, and that causes a sense of frustration. Is there something we can do to help alleviate some of that initial pressure, particularly for British trainees?
Yeah, Alex, what you touch on is absolutely right. I mean, the workforce planning is not good, and there's something really quite iniquitous to think that we're training doctors, nurses and people in other professions here in the UK, and when they qualify, they're struggling to get jobs. But that's not the fault of people that have been brought in from overseas.
Of course.
But they're the people that are on the blunt end of this. And I just find it very, very depressing. We're seeing more and more newly qualified nurses not being able to get jobs. It is bizarre. And these people have trained and they've incurred a lot of debt because nurses, like many others, have to now pay to train, which again I find quite bizarre. And then they find that they can't use their qualifications. And that's why we're seeing more and more people, doctors, nurses, physios, I could go on, going off to places like Canada, Australia and New Zealand. No, the workforce planning is not good, and that needs to be addressed. But as I say, that's not the fault of people who've been recruited from overseas.
OK, Dr. Peter Carter, really good to get your assessment on things this morning. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Peter. I do appreciate it. In response, the NHS England has said this: racist abuse towards NHS staff is completely unacceptable and has no place in our health service.
Now, at 6:32, it's time for our daily reflection.
The GB News Daily Reflection.
My name is Marcus Mack. I'm a vicar in the Church of England. The worst time for me to go into a supermarket is when I'm really, really hungry, because I end up buying more food than I need and buying tasty, sugary food that gives an instant relief from my hunger pangs, but not the best food to live off. I don't have this problem if I go shopping on a full stomach. We easily recognize empty bellies, and we instinctively know that food is needed to satisfy our hunger pangs. But are we as perceptive to our spiritual hunger as we are to our physical hunger? One signal of being spiritually hungry is the constant presence of an inner dissatisfaction. It's possible to have more than we physically need and still be unsatisfied and discontent. We then go shopping in all the wrong places, trying to fill that emptiness with things that don't really fill us. If there is nothing on earth that can satisfy, that is a sign that we were made for so much more. While on earth, Jesus famously fed over 5,000 people by miraculously multiplying a meager portion of bread and fish. He then used that miracle to point to himself as the bread of life. Jesus not only provides for us physically, he can also nourish us spiritually. He is the one our souls hunger for.
Beautiful reflection. I really love that one. It's about nourishment. It's about finding spirituality through Christ and feeling nourishment through that, because I think sometimes we have such an abundance of things now, don't we, in our lives, our phones, our laptops, and all these things which are, ethereal in some ways because they're all just digital. But actually, sometimes we forget about spirituality and Christianity.
Yeah, and it's so important, isn't it, not to lose sight of that.
It really is.
Anyway, we know you enjoy those just as much as we do, so I hope you enjoyed that one on this Tuesday morning. Now, here is your traffic and travel update.
Good morning, this is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. The M3 eastbound is closed between junctions 12 and 11 near Popham. The M40 is closed between junctions 3 and 4 near Loudwater. The M25 clockwise has an obstruction between junctions 5 and 6 near Sevenoaks. The A428 is closed after the A1 near St Neots. In Scotland, the A90 Kingsway is closed in both directions between Old Glamis Junction and Strathmarine Roundabout due to overnight roadworks. Across Wales, the A5 at Menai Bridge is closed. And on the trains, cross-country and Great Western Railway services have reduced service between Newport and Cardiff Central. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
I've been in Westminster for a long time, but I know that though power may be here, its effect on people's lives is across the whole of the country. We may be where rules are made, but it's where they're implemented that matters. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for forthright and frank discussion on where Britain has come from, where it's going, and where it will end up. That's State of the Nation, Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Vox Populi, Vox Dei.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
no,
isn't it?
No,
Because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back,
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
and we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co weeknights at 6 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Welcome to Free Speech Nation with me, Josh Howard. This is the show where each week we see what's happening in the world of culture, current affairs and politics.
First we'll say, welcome to the UK. Oh, thank you.
And we're not afraid to use our free speech so that you can use yours.
It's not controversial in the slightest to anyone who hasn't lost their mind.
Free Speech Nation, Sunday nights at 7 p.m. only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
As soon as it hits 11 and the headlines come in,
The late edition brings you the breaking news from all the front pages.
because the news is going to happen.
So get a head start today.
Patrick Christie's tonight, late edition.
Alex Armstrong tonight, late edition. From 11 o'clock every night.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m. weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Do you trust what you're being told? Good, because neither do I.
Those are just facts.
I'm Alex Armstrong, and on my show, we'll expose the spin.
Well, I want to answer that because you didn't let me last time, because you always speak over me.
The broken promises.
To deny that is denying the truth.
And the hypocrisy.
Needs to stop. You think we can allow?
Politics, policy, parliament. Nothing is off limits. No sugarcoating, no fear of offence, just the truth laid bare. Tune in every Saturday and Sunday at 9 p.m. for Alex Armstrong Tonight, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back, everybody. We're here with Aidan to go through all the latest sport. Aidan, let's talk about Vinicius Junior.
Yeah,
Big
look,
stars coming over.
Well, he's back in training with Real Madrid. We've not seen him since the end of the World Cup. He got eliminated with Brazil, of course, in surprise fashion against Norway. He's been resting since then. He's been spotted on a super yacht, I believe, which is really nice for him. And he's back in training, as I say. Now, OK, that's not abnormal in itself, but there are contract talks to come. He has 1 year left on his deal, and that's a great position to be in if you're a footballer, Ellie, because you can wind down the last year of your contract knowing that your club can't get a fee for you. So they're suddenly rushing to say, look, what do you want? What do you want? Because if we don't tie you into a fee, if we do sell you, we're not going to get anything for you. So Arsenal are poised to move in. They've explored the practicalities around doing a deal for his salary. I mean, he's on something like, I think it's 22 million euros a year at the moment. I don't know what that equates to per week. But I would argue that Arsenal won the league last year with the weakest complement of strikers we've ever seen to win a Premier League title. Gyökeres Trossard, very good player, but they've let him go to Turkey. I thought he was the most productive, but they tended to use him off the bench. Jesus and Martinelli, less than inspiring. So I think there is a room for a star there. The Premier League, I would argue, needs a star.
Yeah.
Harry Kane playing in Germany, of course. Jude Bellingham over in Spain. People like Messi never played in the Premier League. Ronaldo hasn't played meaningfully in the Premier League, really, for...
Why haven't we got a star in the Premier League?
Well, I think, look, it's just very, very difficult to entice players if you're a Premier League club. Despite the economic power, the prestige of the Premier League, it's just hard to crack that nut that is Real Madrid, even Barcelona to a degree. Even Bayern Munich struggled to keep their players.
Is that because Real Madrid now is just the golden standard? It's the club to play for?
Well, it always was. They've won more European titles than any Champions Leagues or European Cups and whatever you want to call it, more than anybody else. Also, their TV deal is different. Whereas everyone gets a share of the pot over here, Ellie, this big money comes in, and even if you finish at the bottom of the league, you win £100 million. Some would say, well, that's a great, fantastic reward for failure. The deal is structured differently in Spain. So individual clubs make their own deal, and everyone else can go and whistle.
Right.
So that's why you see the top 2 or 3 sides in Spain are incredibly important. They're almost imperious at the top. They win the league all the time. The rest of them, not so much. The standard of football in Spain, below halfway down the league, is quite poor, I would argue. Right. However, they would just say, well, actually, the same 3 or 4 teams win it in the Premier League as well. So your model's not working either. Either way, it's barking mad. We're talking telephone numbers. I think his agent is playing Arsenal a little bit, if I was going to be a cynic. But we'll see how it plays out. These transfer rumours keep us going in silly seasons. I'm not complaining one bit.
But they also, unlike normal silly season, we've got a FIFA crisis.
Another one, yeah, another one. When another day, another crisis. Yeah, look, I think... Look, we know what's happened with Infantino the last few days. He launched these plans to sell off part of the World Cup. Now, the issue here is that he had to shelve those plans pretty quickly. We didn't even hear what the proposals were. In fact, the UEFA have asked him to detail what they are so that we have an idea of what could be ahead in future, because you never know, these things could be reprised. That's one reason for him to want to stay on. But I think Europe should stay in its lane for now, to be honest with you, Ellie. I mean, talking about a rival World Cup. I mean, how can you do that if only 2 or 3 organised or continental governing bodies support you? You're not going to have.
It's not World Cup.
You're not going to have 40% of the nations in the world. And what are you going to call it? I've got a name here somewhere. You'll like this: the Global Nations League.
Or the European.
That sounds like a Temu.
Or European Cup, which is what it would be.
Well, yeah, exactly. It's the Temu version of the World Cup. Yeah. One thing about the World Cup is that it was never sponsored. It was never sponsored. It was always sacrosanct. It was always the World Cup, and that will remain so. I bet you any money, and money being the operative word, if the Global Nations League, such a glib title, will attract a sponsor, and then we'll see commercialisation of football at an even more rampant level than we saw at FIFA. UEFA, be careful.
It sounds a bit like the League of Nations, which collapsed quite quickly. If any history fans amongst you remember it.
Yes.
There you go. All right, Aidan.
Emma Raducanu out of the US Open. We'll just explore that later.
We'll do that later.
Thanks,
Top man.
Aidan.
Thanks, Aidan. Good stuff.
Now, just time to tell you about the Great British Giveaway now, and time is ticking on for your chance to win £60,000 in tax-free cash and a real gold bar worth over £5,000. Here are all of the details that you need.
Welcome to Orlisanti by Domes Resorts, where we're celebrating a golden summer. And you could be enjoying a golden year with an incredible £60,000 to be won. That's tax-free cash that you'll get to spend on anything you like. What would you do with it? You could relax knowing that we've got those day-to-day financial pressures sorted. Or find yourself celebrating in the lap of 5-star luxury, somewhere like here, the Spritzeria. Plus, we'll give you a fine gold bullion bar worth over £5,000 that you can keep or gift to a loved one. Don't miss your chance to win over £65,000 worth of prizes.
For a chance to win £60,000 in tax-free cash and a real gold bar, text GOLD to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entry starts at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge, or post your name and number to GB22 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 21st of August. This is a network giveaway. Entries will be pooled. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Well, President Trump has told GB News that well, the whole country's at risk of being bankrupt.
Not us personally.
Not us personally, but, you know, the country.
Yes, that's what he said to our reporter Will Merrick in Washington, D.C. We're going to dig into why he thinks that next, with Festus Akinbasuye and Anna Firth going through the papers with us this morning. Morning, you two. Chat to you in just a second.
But first, here's your weather.
Ready to soak up that holiday sunshine?
Won't we need some cover?
No worries, all sorted.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News travel destinations forecast.
The heat is building and intensifying across central and eastern parts of Europe through the next few days. Fine for many parts of Europe, but at the risk of thunderstorms for the Alps and a few scattered elsewhere in many parts. I think for the Canary Islands, mostly dry with sunny spells and feeling hot here. 1 or 2 showers and thunderstorms for northern and eastern parts of Spain, otherwise hot sunshine. But the temperatures across Italy into Croatia, more especially into Hungary and Bulgaria, really quite high for the time of year, up into the high 30s.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News travel destinations forecast.
This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
Well, Charlie, as most of the viewers know, I would be involved in agriculture. This isn't quite agriculture. It's quite close to it, the cousins of. A lot of things that go on in agriculture are on display here. Thousands of people coming to this site, Ragley Hall, just about 45 minutes out of Birmingham.
We are the modern ruralists, and here today we have the craft yard. We've got 9 different crafts, all demonstrating what they're up to. Here we have the wheelwrights, and they're bonding a wheel here. So this is an ancient craft that's been going for about. Barney Murray's a bit of a legend, quite frankly. He's the national champion, master dry stone waller, comes from North Wales, and he's a bit of a Thor lookalike. So he's quite popular.
GB News, the People's Channel. GB News Breakfast, every day from 6 a.m.
Now, at 16 minutes past 8, the annual bike ride from Yorkshire to London is taking place today, aiming to honour the legacy of the Batley and Spen Labour MP Jo Cox, who was murdered by a far-right terrorist in June of 2016.
Well, the bike ride aims to champion a cause she was passionate about, as this year marks the 10th anniversary of her tragic death.
Kim, if we can just start with you, what is your sister's legacy?
Well, there's so much that we've got to be proud of that's been done in Jo's name. It's just been 10 years since she was murdered, and what has kept us going as a family has been the way that so many amazing people, including people like this amazing man, have done things in Jo's name to show what our country is really about. And you've got all these amazing people today from all different backgrounds, all walks of life, celebrating the things that we have in common, not agreeing on everything.
GB News, the People's Channel. Good afternoon, Britain. Weekdays from midday.
It's a difficult question. Honestly, I don't think I would at this rate, because I think the government tracks, when we say we're fighting for Britain, what are we actually fighting for? The concept of Britain, I don't think exists anymore. When I look at Britain, when I go outside, it doesn't seem to be very British. And I think the core demographic of the people who would normally fight, these white working class boys who, you know, have been fighting for Britain, who we expect just to sacrifice their life in a fight, you know, they've been demonised for decades and decades by the government, by our education system, by the media. Economically, they've been disadvantaged. So why would we expect them to risk their lives when we've demonised them for so long and took them for granted for so long? And this concept of Britain fighting for the British government, you know, the British government has betrayed us.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Here at GB News, we made a promise to tell your stories.
And on the 6th of August, we're marking 5 years of doing exactly that.
Celebrate with us by having your say. Join in the debates live on TV and radio.
And tune in as your favourite presenters are live across the country, from Leeds to Aberdeen, from Belfast to Barry Island.
Plus, join me in Essex for our biggest live show of the year. Tune in this Thursday, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back. It's 6:49. We're having a quick look through the papers with Anna Firth and Festus Akinbisoye. Morning, you two.
Good morning.
Festus, let's start with you, shall we? Our top story this morning, the front page of the Times. Killers, but not rapists, to be given early release. Well, actually, that's rapists, not killers, to be given early release, I should say.
I am gobsmacked, given the fact that a few weeks ago, Andy Burnham said this whole thing was going to be paused and reviewed, and murderers will not be released. Now, what we're being told is that he's done a U-turn.
Yeah.
It seems like nothing has changed since the last Prime Minister. In a couple of days' time, I'm going to be meeting the mother of Andrew Harper as part of something called the Police Unity Tour. We're going to be riding about 200 miles over 3 days to raise money for the families of police officers who died on duty. And Lizzie most likely will be there, his wife. And I remember being at Andrew Harper's funeral in 2019, when honestly, it was just a heartbreaking experience.
Oh.
And they've just been married a few weeks.
I know.
After he was murdered. And for these boys not to be released early is just shocking, and it should never, ever happen.
What message does it send, Anna? What message? And I think this is what people will be saying. The Prime Minister said, Andy Burnham, this Prime Minister, said he was going to look at this case, and he sounded very tough about it.
Absolutely. We discussed this 2 weeks ago when I was on this very show, and we explained what a national disgrace it would be if he is let out early, and what a mockery it would make of Lizzie Harper's brave campaign to bring in Harper's Law, which let's not forget was to make sure you get a mandatory life sentence if you kill an emergency worker or a policeman in the course of committing a crime, which is exactly what happened here. So this makes a complete mockery of that. And it shows, I'm afraid, from Andy Burnham is failing his first test, because we had, U-turn Starmer, and now we've got U-turn Burnham.
But Festus, realistically, the Prime Minister's in a bit of a tough spot. What could he really do? He's got the prison places aren't there. Right.
But you could make an exception for these two, couldn't you? These two, by the way, if we get those photos back up again, who showed no remorse when they were in court. Do you remember the very people
who
were
laughing?
Laughing and smirking?
Yep. Look, we've got about 10,000, foreign criminals in prison.
Exactly.
About 6,500 of those can be deported. That will free up spaces. The problem as well is that if you're going to be releasing people early from prison, you have got to have the resources outside in the communities to deal with this. Just over the weekend, the National Police Chiefs Council's lead for offender management was saying that they don't have the resources to cope with this many people being released so quickly. And lastly, what I'll say is that in 2024, when Labour started this process, there were about 80,000 people in prison. The number has hardly changed. Despite nearly 70,000 being released, because so many of those who've been released early are back in prison again.
Yeah, but you're absolutely right.
But can I just put this to you, Anna, just for balance? The Labour government are going to say this is your party's fault. That you guys didn't build the prison places while 14 years in office, and therefore they have to now make difficult decisions like this one here, and they'll blame you.
They can say that, but this is their early release scheme, and they are in power now. I mean, how many years are they going to go on saying, "Oh, it was the last guys"? No, come on, fess up, own it. This is your decision. Burnham got it right when he said, I'm going to pause this, and he should stick to his guns. He should stop these two being let out. And Festus is absolutely right. Of those 10,000 foreign prisoners, 3,000 of them are with countries we've got returns agreements with, so they could go straight back.
Anna, let's look at something totally different, shall we? Diagnosis of autism is so wide that it risks being useless.
Yeah, I mean, this is...
We've only got a minute here.
Yeah, this is shocking, but it doesn't actually surprise me, because when you look at the absolute explosion in special needs now, you'll find that 1 in 5 children has apparently got special needs. In other words, they're not really special any longer, because it's so widespread. There is overdiagnosis going on, and the problem is it diverts resources from those who really need it. So this has got to be sorted out.
Yeah, Festus.
And there's a cost to local authorities for dealing with this, because once a child has been diagnosed with this, there are all kinds of the education healthcare plan that also comes in, which is a massive drain on local resources at the moment, but there are those young people who need it, and there are those who there's some questions about whether they need it or not.
Absolutely right. Well, look, you two, you're going to be back with a much longer paper review in the next hour. In the meantime, we're going to take a little look at the weather, aren't we?
Yeah, because it's hot, 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 but also some rain on the horizon as well. Ada McGivern's got all of the details. Very welcome rain, we should say.
Yes.
Today's outlook: cool, calm and completely horizontal. Boxed aircon sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello, good morning. Welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. A warm and humid day for many of us, especially towards the south and the east. Rain or showers, especially towards the north and the west, with thunderstorms for some. It's actually a damp start to the day for Scotland, for Northern Ireland. Heavy and persistent rain. Showers, meanwhile, moving through parts of Wales and the west of England. And the rain across Scotland and Northern Ireland breaks it into showers, with thunderstorms likely for Northern Ireland. These slow-moving storms could cause impacts through the afternoon and evening, especially given the time of year. Drier towards the east and southeast, and with some sunshine, and still another day with temperatures into the low 30s and high humidity. It's going to feel really quite warm. Meanwhile, not feeling warm at all across northern Scotland. Persistent rain and low cloud expected with a keen breeze from the east. Here are these lively showers across central and southern Scotland, with some rumbles of thunder mixed in. Likewise, slow-moving thunderstorms continuing into the evening for Northern Ireland. Hit and miss showers, central and western England as well as Wales, interspersed by some brighter spells, but the best of the sunshine as we end the day, East Anglia and the southeast, with the warmth continuing overnight. Another humid, muggy night to come for many. Areas of clouds swirling around the United Kingdom, and some showers popping up just about anywhere. Very little meaningful rainfall in the south and southeast where it's most needed, but there could be a few drops here and there. More persistent wet weather continuing for the north of Scotland and Northern Ireland. And a warm start to Wednesday, but actually during Wednesday we see this change in wind direction, west to northwesterlies, bringing a fresher feel. Still mostly dry for England and Wales, sunny spells, and aside from a few showers in the north and west, a mostly fine day. Scotland and Northern Ireland, meanwhile, damp weather continuing and feeling on the cool side, fresher conditions towards the southeast.
Today's outlook: cool, calm and completely horizontal. Boxed aircon sponsors the weather on GB News.
Thank you, Britain, for making GB News Radio such a huge success. Whether you're in the car, on the go or listening at home, thank you for choosing us as your radio station.
Good morning. This is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. The M3 eastbound is closed between junctions 12 and 11 near Popham. The M40 is closed between junctions 3 and 4 near Loudwater. North of the border, the A78 is closed in both directions between Dunlop Street and Ratho Street due to planned roadworks. Across Wales, the A5 at Menai Bridge is closed, and on the trains, cross-country and Great Western Railway services have reduced service between Newport and Cardiff Central, with additional disruption between Truro and Falmouth Docks and between Oxford and Didcot Parkway. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Welcome to Augsust by Domes Resorts, where we're celebrating with an incredible £60,000 to be won. Plus, we'll give you a fine gold bullion bar worth over £5,000. Don't miss your chance to win over £65,000 worth of prizes.
For a chance to win, text GOLD to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB22 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 21st of August. This is a network giveaway. Entries will be pulled. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk then?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Good morning. The Prime Minister, Andy Burnham, is under fire after confirming that PC Andrew Harper's killers will be released from prison early.
Well, Harper's widow condemns the decision as an utter betrayal, with Burnham announcing that only grooming gang perpetrators, rapists and child sex offenders will be excluded from the early release scheme.
Well, with backlash mounting, is this really the right time for the Prime Minister, who's been in the job only 2 weeks, to jet off on his summer holiday?
Big questions there. The European Union is set to hold emergency talks finally today to discuss the migration crisis after those shocking scenes in Ceuta.
The small boats crisis worsens as it's revealed that more than 2,000 illegal migrants have made the journey to Dover since Andy Burnham took over as Prime Minister. Could Nigel Farage's plan to use the military to protect our borders be the silver bullet solution that Britain so desperately needs?
If the Royal Navy is not there to protect this country from invasion, then frankly, I can't see what its purpose is.
And the United States President Donald Trump has exclusively told GB News what he thinks of Andy Burnham. That's as he shares his thoughts on Europe's migration crisis.
I think we're going to have a very good relationship. We'll see. I'm not going to tell him how to run his country, but I can tell you, immigration is an incredible problem for Europe.
Elsewhere today, a 26-year-old Afghan migrant is held by Greek authorities over the murder of a Scottish woman in Athens.
Is the price of fame worth paying? We're going to be debating whether expectations on celebrities are too high after Ariana Grande quit her West End show to take a break from public life.
It may seem like the World Cup only finished 5 minutes ago, but the Premier League, EFL and National League are underway the weekend after next. Fans the length and breadth of the country are bracing themselves for marathon journeys, fixture rescheduling, travel chaos and the prospect of another dismal midweek defeat. We'll find out why one fan simply cannot wait for it to start. Join me later this hour.
A wet start to the day today, but not in those areas where rain is most needed. Find out more about the contrasts in weather up and down the country in the forecast coming up soon.
Good morning, it's just gone 7 o'clock. I'm Ellie Costello.
And I'm Alex Armstrong, and this is GB News Breakfast. Right, well, we've been talking about holiday plans because I think this is interesting. Half of holidaymakers have changed their travel plans this year because of rising costs and global tensions. I remember before I was going away, do you remember we had Simon Calder in here?
We did. When you asked him, yes.
I was like, how do I protect my holiday from the war in Iran? Because there were real concerns that there wouldn't be enough jet fuel.
Yes. And he said to book on your credit card and ABTA protected package holidays.
Yes.
And then you said...
I did it.
You did
That's exactly what I did.
And when you saw him the other day, you said, and I will never book anything else ever again.
Yeah, because actually now I know if there's because you just don't know what's going to happen anymore, do you? No one knows what's going to happen.
It's a good tip.
It's a really good tip. So, but apparently 67% of people are keen to avoid busy airports, which is, well, good luck with that. And 16% have delayed their holidays due to global instability.
I know a lot of people who've chosen to stay in this country.
Yeah.
Head down to Cornwall or Dorset or the lakes.
With the weather, the way it's been the last few weeks.
It's been perfect, hasn't it? Why would you go anywhere else?
Brilliant.
It is really. I mean, I just don't. I personally, I want to get out of the country, and I know a lot of people feel like they need to get out of the country just to feel like they've been away.
Break, yeah.
You can do a bit of both, though, can't you?
Yeah, but there's loads of places I'd love to go actually in Britain. I've thought about more and more. You've been to a staycation, haven't you?
Yeah, did the Cotswolds recently?
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah.
Love the Cotswolds.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Just beautiful, isn't it?
Really beautiful.
Love to go down to Cornwall. Just such a long drive, isn't it?
That's right. And the Prime Minister having a little holiday, isn't he?
Take the train to Cornwall. That's the best way to.
Oh, that's good advice, Aidan.
Teignmouth out to sea.
There you go. Andy Burnham can take one of his nationalised rails down to his holiday.
I'd love to know where he's gone on his holiday. He's a man of the people. Where would he have gone? Butlins?
Yeah, well, possibly in Skegness. That's a good one.
Possibly in Skegness.
Bognor Regis, Minehead, of course. Only 3 Butlins left now in the whole country.
Really?
I think back in the 80s, you could probably think 20 or 30 of those.
Yeah.
That was the go-to holiday, then foreign holidays.
Have you done Butlins?
Cheap package holidays.
No, you've not
Have you done Butlins?
No, I haven't actually.
Yeah, I've done Butlins.
Yeah, you've done a Butlins. Yeah.
There you go.
Fraser, have you done a Butlins before?
No, I haven't.
That's a lie. I've seen you down there.
Interesting thing in the mail that it's become a hotspot for swingers.
That's changed your mind, has it, Fraser?
So that's keeping Butlins alive, basically.
There you go. If you're a betting man, Fraser, where would you say Andy Burnham's gone on his holiday? We don't know, by the way. Number 10.
I think definitely, yeah, it's got to be somewhere. It's got to be the staycation.
Swing on with her.
All right. Well, let us know what you think. gbnews.com/you'll say. Should we look at our top story today?
Let's do that, because the Prime Minister is facing pressure. I mean, it's only 2 weeks in, he's already under pressure, isn't it? That's after it's emerged that the 2 men convicted of the 28th killing of the police officer Andrew Harper could still be eligible for early release from prison.
Well, that's after Andy Burnham announced that offenders convicted of grooming gang offences and rape will be excluded from the scheme.
Well, under the changes, rape and child sexual offences will be added to the list of crimes that are ineligible for early release.
But questions are now being raised over why the 2 men convicted over PC Harper's death do not appear on that list. And here to talk with us in the studio is Deputy Editor of Spiked Online, Fraser Myers. And Fraser, wasn't this the whole point of Harper's Law, that there would be mandatory life sentences for those who killed emergency workers when they're committing a crime?
Absolutely, but the prison release law, the Sentencing Act that was passed last year, seems to override all of these other previous stipulations. And, you know, Andy Burnham promised that he was going to have a rapid review of the prisoner release scheme. I mean, it's, of course, not his fault. This is an issue that's been landed on his desk, left by the outgoing Starmer administration. He promised that he would do a review. Now it turns out that it's good, of course, that lots of rapists and grooming gangs perpetrators are not going to be released, but many murderers, people who've committed manslaughter, people who've committed all kinds of serious crime, domestic violence is going to worry a lot of people, because those are criminals who target their victims, and, you know, that actually puts, you know, named individuals at risk.
It does, yeah. And, of course, this all comes after the Prime Minister, not that long ago, said he was disturbed by this case. I can't remember the exact words he used, but he said he was going to look into it. So Fraser, what's happened here? He's looked into it. He said, actually, I think it's worse to release grooming gang offenders, rapists, child sexual offenders, all things we agree with, by the way. Or I have to say, I'm glad those people aren't going to be out on the streets. But he said it's OK for murderers to be released early. So how on earth has that happened?
It is extraordinary. I mean, he's written a piece in the Telegraph defending his decision and saying that, you know, the line has to be drawn somewhere, or the prison system will simply collapse, you know, under the weight of overcrowding. And that is a genuine risk. And I don't think Burnham is necessarily to blame here, but this issue has been going on for years and years. In fact, you know, I think what's so disturbing, actually, is that in 2024, when the Labour government first came in, they did this big early prison release. It was treated as an emergency measure, you know, a one-off to sort of get people out of the system, and then maybe they'd make some fixes and things would go back to normal, or, you know, our prisons would no longer be overcrowded. This is now becoming routine. So we've now had 50,000 prisoners released early since this government came to power. And, you know, the government says that they're going to plan the biggest increase in prison places since the Victorian era. That's obviously welcome. But you do wonder why this hasn't been taken seriously, why this hasn't been more done more quickly, because the public is at risk here. And it's not just prison places, of course. It's not just the actual physical capacity for prisons. We don't have enough prison staff. And in fact, I was looking at some of the statistics on this. In 1990, when we had the Strange Ways prison riot, and that was considered a low point, we had exactly the same amount of staff as we do now, but we have double the number of prisoners.
Wow.
So clearly, even now, when prisoners are technically not completely full, we know that they're full of drugs. We know that the prisoners are in charge. So we have a really, really serious problem that it seems that no one really wants to get a grip of, because it's not really seen as popular as wanting to do anything that might seem to deal with prisons. People want prisoners to be locked up and don't care about the conditions they live in.
But you would think that public safety would be the #1 priority, wouldn't you? At least that's what the Prime Minister says. So what can be done? Because when we're hearing about more prison spaces, we know that prisons can't be built overnight. Could we see emergency legislation? That means something needs to be done, and urgently.
Clearly it does, and I think you'd want to see emergency legislation to fast-track some of the planning approvals of new prisons. Clearly, these are things that are going to face lots of local objections, but I'm afraid the national interest is such that we do need more prison places. Like all infrastructure, prisons are just simply struggling to be built under our planning rules, so those need to be circumvented. We'll need to see more prison officers hired and trained to a high standard. Which takes time. And unfortunately, we have problems at every end of the justice system. So a lot of the prisoners who are being released into a probation system that is basically threadbare. Andy Burnham says there's going to be tough checks on prisoners being released. There just isn't. This is not going to happen. And then, of course, because of the prisons crisis, we're even not locking up people in the first place. So a lot of people who are carrying knives or shoplifting, who would normally go to jail, are not. So this really is a crisis at every level of the justice system.
It certainly is. Well, thank you very much, Fraser. I just wish somebody would take drastic action and just say to the people who are locked up with foreign criminals, we are deporting you back to your home countries. And if those home countries don't like it, get tough on them. That would free up thousands of spaces. We just haven't got...
Well, that's 10,000 spaces right there, isn't it?
Yeah.
Which would make a huge difference. Anyway, we are speaking to the Justice Secretary, Alex Norris, just after 9 o'clock this morning, aren't we? So we'll put some of those questions to him. He has, in the meantime, given us this following statement.
The Prime Minister and I have reviewed these reforms, listened to the concerns and gone further to protect victims. Victims will also have access to better support and reassurance that offenders leaving prison face tougher supervision and punishment.
OK. At 10 minutes past 7, European ministers are set to hold emergency talks this morning about border control. It's after 70,000 migrants entered the Spanish territory of Ceuta last week.
Meanwhile, on the home front, pressure is building upon Andy Burnham to come up with a solution to the illegal migrant crisis, with over 2,000 arrivals since the beginning of his leadership just 2 weeks ago.
Well, joining us now is human rights lawyer Shoaib Khan. Very good to see you this morning. The scenes last week, do you think that's caused Europe to sit up and smell the coffee? Although it has taken them a number of days, hasn't it? This happened Thursday last week, and we're hearing about this emergency meeting on Tuesday.
Hi. Yes, I mean, I think it has. But I think that even as we saw initially, especially, as soon as we saw what was happening there, I think in many ways it does seem to have been exaggerated a bit, exactly what happened, and especially considering that, within 24 hours, most of the people had returned. So,
hang on. What do you mean exaggerated? 60,000 people almost stormed into a city. That's not exaggeration, that's an invasion.
But that's the thing. I'm not going to go again into the definition of the word invasion and, why I don't think this was an invasion and why I don't think we should be using such language. But the point is...
How would you describe the scenes that we can see on the screen in front of us, then? How would you describe that if it wasn't an invasion? What word would you use?
Well, it was an influx of people. There were people who arrived and then returned. And the point is, I mean, I think if we are actually going to, as most people then try to portray it, when you in a discussion from a humanitarian point of view. The point is, there were a few dozen who lost their lives either on the way or over there or on the way back. And I think that's the human tragedy there. And that's what we should be trying to avoid or prevent in future, rather than the fact that, a Spanish territory had a few, not a few, but OK, a huge amount of people come and then return. So I'm not quite sure, I mean, how that seems to be the highlight, or that seems to be the main issue here. But in any event,
is the issue not the case, and this is what we've heard directly from these migrants who were trying to get into the city, many of whom said they were trying to claim asylum there due to Spain's amnesty for illegal migrants, saying that many people get citizenship. I believe reports suggest between 500,000 and 1 million illegal migrants were given an amnesty in Spain. That's a pulling factor, isn't it? That's not protecting the human rights of people. That is creating mass crises like this one is.
Yeah, no, but the point is, I mean, and this is the basic thing. The point is, what is the alternative then? I mean, obviously, for instance, yesterday we heard, and it wasn't the first time we heard it, reforms plans about using the Navy and the Armed Forces. We heard it under Swellabrook, we heard it under Priti Patel. So it's not the first time we've heard this. Obviously, this time it seems there might be slightly more detail than the Tories ever gave us. But the point is, I mean, so then what is the plan? Fine, even if, I mean, obviously it's not going to work. Probably it's never even going to be tried. But even if it does, supposing everything goes perfectly, just as Nigel Farage said, and then not a single person crosses, what do we think is going to happen? Firstly, do we think people aren't going to find and try other routes, potentially more dangerous routes to get here? Is the first question. Secondly, even if we say, okay, fine, we fully secured the borders, everything is completely secure, no one is getting through, then what is basically what we're saying, we've completely demolished the international refugee system. We're not taking in any asylum seekers. So, I mean, I'm just not sure what's the end game here, what's the plan, what do we think is going to happen? We seem to be sort of filling in tiny holes where we see them. But overall, and obviously, I mean, and the reason I was saying an exaggeration, or the point is that obviously if we're having these, EU migration talks, then I think it's great that we're having those and leaders are getting serious. But the point is, the starting point should be that there are, for many, many reasons, millions of refugees around the world, people who are not safe in their countries, whole countries that are not safe. What are we going to do about those people? And that needs to be the starting point.
It certainly does. And Shahab, when you look at countries across the Middle East, and you look at, perhaps if you want to take Gaza as an example, countries surrounding Gaza, Muslim Arab countries won't take those people in. And then we see places like that in the Middle East where they're telling migrants to move along. They're coming to Europe for different reasons. A lot of these people are not looking to be having a safer, better life. They go to the trouble of travelling across the entire continent, then making a second dangerous journey to get into Britain when they could be safe in somewhere like Italy, France, Greece, any other European country they first land in, or even perhaps one of the neighbouring Arab states that they arrive into. Morocco, for example, is not an unsafe country. It is a place we go to go on holiday. So how on earth can we describe the scenes that we saw in Morocco as anything other than an invasion of people looking for a better economic future? Because none of those people were seeking asylum, were they?
So, okay, I mean, lots of points there. But the main thing is, the first thing, what you're saying about firstly, the thing is that legally, morally, in any way, there is no obligation on the asylum seeker to seek refuge in the first safest country. So that's one thing I think needs to be very clear.
It does beg the question as to whether they're genuine or not, doesn't it? If you're seeking safety and that is your primary reason for leaving your country, travelling to 3 or 4 other countries would assume that you're actually not travelling for safety, you're travelling for different reasons.
No. So, I mean, I just want to say that that's a myth generally, especially people who seem to believe that somehow the law or something. But secondly, obviously those countries, I mean, I'm not defending those countries at all. Obviously, everyone needs to take in more vulnerable people, and those countries should too. But having said that, Europe, and especially the UK, we take in a very, very small minority, a very small proportion of refugees and asylum seekers. So, for instance, Pakistan, I mean, we know, obviously, we think that, the UK and Europe has been overrun by Afghan refugees. But when you look at Pakistan, they were in millions. When you look at the Middle East, Turkey hosts millions of refugees. So most of these countries do. We're very, very low on the list. We're very, so in terms of numbers, we don't take in much. So that's the thing. Only the people who do manage to. And then obviously we complain, why are they all young men? But that's the reason they're all young, healthy men, because they're the ones who can manage to cross across the world and reach the UK. And in a way, that's good. I mean,
OK, Shahab Khan, I'm afraid we're out of time with you, but thank you very much for joining us on GB News Breakfast.
Thanks, Shahab. We do appreciate your time. Interestingly, Pakistan sent millions of those Afghans back, actually, didn't they? Anyway, should we have a look at some other stories coming into the newsroom?
And the US President Donald Trump has exclusively told Will Merrick of GB News that he hopes to have a strong relationship with the Prime Minister Andy Burnham, but he warned Europe must get a grip on issues including energy and immigration.
look, you have to stop illegal immigration in Europe. I know Europe better than anybody, better than the people that run it, and I have great relationships. Two things are killing Europe. Number one is immigration, number two is energy. Like the UK, when you look at the UK, they have one of the best energy fields in the world, North Sea oil. Now, I think your new prime minister is going to actually open up from what I hear, I spoke to him, and he sounded terrific on this subject. But you open it up, you'll be a wealthy country. You keep it closed, you're going to be a bankrupt country, which is what you are now. Essentially, you're a bankrupt country. You have one of the greatest energy fields, the North Sea oil, one of the greatest fields in the world. You know, the UK buys its energy from Norway, who gets the energy from the North Sea, from not as vibrant a part of the North Sea oil was. You're sitting on top of gold, better than gold, and you don't do anything with it. It doesn't work. You don't allow the oil companies in, and it doesn't work. And I spoke with your new prime minister. I was very impressed, and he sort of indicated to me, I said, look, you can be a wealthy country or a bankrupt country. You have your choice. Not every country has that choice. Almost no country has that choice. But in the case of the UK, Scotland, I'm talking about Scotland, right off the shore, in Aberdeen, Scotland. Aberdeen was the oil capital of Europe for years. And then one day the Liberals got in and they closed it. And your energy rates have quadrupled. You have among the highest energy prices in the world. You could cut them in half. You could give away free energy if you'd open up the North Sea. And it's good for another 500 years, maybe more, probably 1,000.
And a 26-year-old Afghan migrant has been arrested following the death of a Scottish woman whose body was found inside a suitcase in the Greek capital of Athens. 38-year-old Elizabeth Jane Ross was found by a homeless man in a derelict building last month.
And Meghan Markle celebrates turning 45 today. Although the Sussexes have not officially confirmed their plans for the special day, it is likely that they will mark the occasion privately.
Let's speak to Aidan and hear about your weather.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello, good morning. Welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. A warm and humid day for many of us, especially towards the south and the east. Rain or showers, especially towards the north and the west, with thunderstorms for some. It's actually a damp start to the day for Scotland, for Northern Ireland. Heavy and persistent rain. Showers, meanwhile, moving through parts of Wales and the west of England. And the rain across Scotland and Northern Ireland breaks it into showers with thunderstorms likely for Northern Ireland. These slow-moving storms could cause impacts through the afternoon and evening, especially given the time of year. Drier towards the east and southeast, and with some sunshine, and still another day with temperatures into the low 30s and high humidity. It's going to feel really quite warm. Meanwhile, not feeling warm at all across northern Scotland. Persistent rain and low cloud expected with a keen breeze from the east. Here are these lively showers across central and southern Scotland with some rumbles of thunder mixed in. Likewise, slow-moving thunderstorms continuing into the evening for Northern Ireland. Hit and miss showers, central and western England as well as Wales, interspersed by some brighter spells, but the best of the sunshine as we end the day, East Anglia and the southeast, with the warmth continuing overnight. Another humid, muggy night to come for many. Areas of clouds swirling around the United Kingdom and some showers popping up just about anywhere. Very little meaningful rainfall in the south and southeast where it's most needed, but there could be a few drops here and there. More persistent wet weather continuing for the north of Scotland and Northern Ireland. And a warm start to Wednesday, but actually during Wednesday we see this change in wind direction, west to northwesterlies, bringing a fresher feel. Still mostly dry for England and Wales, sunny spells, and aside from a few showers in the north and west, a mostly fine day. Scotland and Northern Ireland, meanwhile, damp weather continuing and feeling on the cool side, fresher conditions towards the southeast.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Now, do stay with us. Still to come, we're asking, is the price of fame worth paying? We're going to be debating whether expectations on celebrities are too high. It's after the singer Ariana Grande has quit her West End show in order to take a break from public life. We're going to be talking about all of that next.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Bold. They are under no illusion. Ray. Are you a human trafficker? Boundless. I've had enough of the nonsense, and I'm not afraid to say it.
Don't get this on the BBC.
Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines.
The smell of gasoline. Should we be worried about it?
From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos.
What I'm going to do now is they are throwing things out the car as we speak.
Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christie's tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pearce.
And me, Miriam Gates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
Do you trust what you're being told? Good, because neither do I.
Those are just facts.
I'm Alex Armstrong, and on my show, we'll expose the spin.
Well, I want to answer that, because you didn't let me last time, because you always speak over me.
The broken promises.
To deny that is denying the truth.
And the hypocrisy.
We can allow.
Stop.
You think we can allow?
Politics, policy, parliament. Nothing is off limits. No sugarcoating, no fear of offence, just the truth laid bare. Tune in every Saturday and Sunday at 9 p.m. for Alex Armstrong Tonight, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Here at GB News, we made a promise to tell your stories.
And on the 6th of August, we're marking 5 years of doing exactly that.
Celebrate with us by having your say. Join in the debates live on TV and radio.
And tune in as your favourite presenters are live across the country, from Leeds to Aberdeen, from Belfast to Barry Island.
Plus, join me in Essex for our biggest live show of the year. Tune in this Thursday, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Some people enjoy lazy Sunday mornings, but not me.
What's the truth of the matter? So that's a very live question. Would you support him if he waters down these plans?
Before the spin sets in, I'll be getting to the truth.
This is personal.
No soft questions, no easy answers.
It's one thing if the state has rules in this country. It's another thing whether the police and others actually police them.
Setting the agenda and holding those in power to account.
You can't really blame her if the system is set up this way.
You will not want to miss it, trust me. The Camilla Tominey Show, Sundays from 9:30, only on GB News.
Now, the actress Jamelia Jamil has made headlines after voicing her concern for Ariana Grande.
Yes, the singer announced that she's stepping back from public life after what she called endless scrutiny over her health.
And this morning we're asking if Ariana is right to step back or she should try and soldier on. Well, joining us for this debate is former UKIP leader Neil Hamilton, and social commentator Amy Ansell. Good morning, you two. Amy, we'll start with you. Is the pressure on celebrities just far too high now?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's par for the course, unfortunately, these days. And I think that by Ariana Grande stepping back after basically 25 years in the business, being scrutinized all the time, as you do being in this position, I think it's so smart of her to step back. I think it's responsible to herself, her mental health, her physical health, and she's looked up to by millions of young women worldwide. So I think she's a great role model, and by showing all these people that she's going to step back and put up some boundaries, I think is the smartest and the best thing for her to do.
Well, let's bring in former UKIP leader Neil Hamilton. Neil, you will be aware there's been lots of concern about Ariana Grande's health for a long time now. Do you think it's right that she's stepping back from the spotlight?
Well, it's obviously right for her, but I must say I'm perplexed by this entire syndrome. I can understand after 25 years of relentless pursuit of publicity, she might want a rest from it from time to time to spend more time with her money. She's made about 200 million out of her career. You know, she's got the most amazing vocal gifts with a 4-octave range as a singer, which is extremely rare. But I just don't understand all these neuroses that seem to abound today among so-called celebrities. After all, and we have to put up with pressure in our own lives wherever we are very often. You know, my brother-in-law was blown up during the Falklands War on HMS Ardent, which sank with the loss of 24 members of the crew, friends of his, and dozens more who were injured. They're all flung into the cold waters of the South Atlantic. You know, I worked with Margaret Thatcher for years. She was blown up in the Brighton bomb. She didn't retire from public life after that. She carried on. She was defiant. So, you know, what about pulling yourself together and carrying on the spirit of the war when people had to cope with the Blitz? And it's a good job Ariana Grande hasn't had to cope with any real problems in the course of her life, perhaps, because goodness knows what might have happened then. So, yeah.
Well, to be fair, there was a terror attack at the Manchester Arena where she was holding a concert. So, I mean, she has been through things.
Amy, final word over to... Sorry, Neil. Let's pass it over to Amy for a quick comment.
I can't believe I'm hearing these words. I mean, it's not about retiring from public life. It's about taking a break, and a well-deserved break. And a lot of people do this in the real world as well. They'll take a medical leave. I mean, it's important to look after yourself physically and mentally and spiritually. And I think she gives so much of herself to her public, to the fans, to the world. And I think she has every right to take a break. A lot of people have in the past. We don't want another Karen Carpenter on our hands, where, like, you know, she basically died at the same age as Ariana is now. So it's so important. She steps back, she looks after herself, she's doing the right thing. And I wish her all the best. And I hope she gets well and comes back bigger and better than ever before.
Yeah, we all do. Amy, Neil, thank you very much for joining us this morning. We should say that we have contacted Ariana Grande's management, which is Good World Management, for comment. We are yet to hear back. When we do, we'll bring it to you.
All right, time for a Great British giveaway. 60 grand in tax-free cash and a real gold bar worth 5 grand. Here's the details.
One person is guaranteed to win over £65,000 worth of gold and cash. And that person could be you.
You could be our latest Great British Giveaway winner and join our exclusive list of giveaway champions.
First of all, we want to give you a ton of tax-free cash.
£60,000 in tax-free cash that you could use however you like. Treat your family, treat your friends,
or treat yourself to a luxury 5-star holiday somewhere like here, Orla's Santee by Domes Resorts.
Plus, you'll also receive a fine gold bar worth over £5,000.
Don't miss your chance to win over £65,000 worth of prizes.
For a chance to win, text GOLD to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entry start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB22 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 21st of August. This is a network giveaway. Entries will be pulled. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Thank you, Britain, for the thousands of you who are becoming friends of GB News each and every week.
Good morning. This is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. The M3 westbound has a lane closure between junctions 2 and 3 in Thorpe. There is an obstruction on the M20 westbound between junctions 6 and 5 in Aylesford. The A5 is closed after the A453. The A428 is closed after the A1 near St Neots. North of the border, the A737 eastbound has 2 lanes restricted near Elderslie. Across Wales, the A5 at Menai Bridge is closed. And on the trains, cross-country and Great Western Railway services have reduced service between Newport and Cardiff Central, with disruption on multiple routes. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions, but every Friday night at 9 p.m. you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Here at GB News, we made a promise to tell your stories.
And on the 6th of August, we're marking 5 years of doing exactly that.
Celebrate with us by having your say. Join in the debates live on TV and radio.
And tune in as your favourite presenters are live across the country, from Leeds to Aberdeen, from Belfast to Barry Island.
Plus, join me in Essex for our biggest live show of the year. Tune in this Thursday, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back.
Yes, welcome back. Sorry, I was just talking over you for a second.
It's sports time. Aidan McGee's here with us. What have you got for us?
Yes, look, let's focus on Vinicius Junior, shall we? Because if Arsenal do manage to sign him from Real Madrid, I would argue that it would be one of the greatest transfer coups of all time. 31 years since Arsenal themselves signed Dennis Bergkamp from Inter Milan. It was transformative. It was Arsene Wenger arriving a year later. They won the double twice in 1998, 2002. They were invincible in 2004. It really was the difference for them. In fact, in the subsequent eras, they struggled to live up to that, and they're almost emerging from that now, having won the Premier League last season. So everything's part of a narrative, you know, even going back 30-odd years. But look, Vinicius Junior is back in training with Real Madrid. Not remarkable in itself. That's what he has to do. He's been away since the World Cup, recharging his batteries. Obviously, he was eliminated. He was eliminated by Norway at the World Cup. And could Arsenal now be poised to wait and see what happens with these big talks? If the big talks result in a new contract for Vinicius Junior at Real Madrid, obviously he stays where he is, but they're going to have to better his wages, which I believe is something like, it was anything between 17 million euros a year and 22 million euros a year. I don't know if that includes bonuses or what. I'm not sure how exactly how the contract is structured. But as I say, I just believe, I said it last hour, I believe that the agents might be just towing Arsenal along here, really. They're happy for Arsenal to be interested, just to kind of leverage that against Real Madrid. Yeah. But prizing a player out of Real Madrid, you've got the economic power of Arsenal, it's extremely difficult. Yeah. There aren't many players who've left Real Madrid at their peak to join any other club, let alone Arsenal or Premier League. Even Bayern Munich struggle to hold on to their players when Real Madrid come knocking.
Should we talk about Emma Raducanu?
Yes, absolutely. A leg stress fracture. It kept her out of Wimbledon. It's going to keep her out of the US Open, sadly. Now, the issue here is that she had not an excellent year, but she had a much better year this year. Early on, she got to the Queen's final, of course. Then this leg fracture, as I mentioned, that kept her out of Wimbledon, that curtailed her career, or not her career, but her progress from that point onwards. And it's sad, actually, Ellie, because it's 5 years since she won the US Open. And should we cut, actually, because I've got someone else to bring you?
Yes, yeah, let's do that.
I'm going to cross to Chris Lehman, who is a Crystal Palace fan. And I teased him into the break, didn't I, earlier on? But he is, well, we've seen a list. Oh, great to see you in your Palace shirt, Chris. Thanks for joining us this morning. Now, listen, I was given a list yesterday of some of the journeys that supporters are going to have to make on the opening weekend of the Premier League, EFL and National League. Carl Harvey Worthing, if you're a Worthing fan, that's a 720-mile round trip. I'm interested in number 7, though, Everton versus Crystal Palace. Now, it's a journey that Palace have made frequently over the last 30 or 40 years, but still 440 miles. What makes you lot do it?
We love our club. And when you said about this, the very shirt I wore to Everton opening day back in '97, so I thought we'd give it an airing today.
Attilio Lombardo scored, didn't he?
That's it. He did indeed. A lot of us had money on at 7-1 that day. Good knowledge. Expect nothing less from you, Aidan. But yeah, I mean, this is going to be small fry compared to our last trip, of course, which was over to Germany and Leipzig. So this will be a walk in the park.
Well, that was worth it, wasn't it?
Well worth it. We do one of those each year. That'll Frankfurt next year would be nice.
Now, tell me about just the culture of what happened over the last 30-odd years. We hear more than ever about travel chaos. We hear about fixture rescheduling. Is it harder to be a super fan and travel around the country, especially as you did back in the day when you had your fanzine, one more point at Palace? Is it more difficult now than it was back then? More challenges these days?
Way different. I mean, give you an example. Last year, we played 9 Premier League games on the Saturday, I think it was, 9 out of the 38. In the old days, the fixture list used to mean something. You remember the old fixture cards? You'd have had it with QPR. And generally what was on the card, you knew you could plan your year all along. You know, the game would be 3 o'clock Saturday, occasionally a TV game. But now, with more and more games, and partly our own fault, if that's the right word, with the Conference League run last year, where a lot of games were moved to Sunday. But travel is harder now. The old days of just going up, buying a ticket on the train. You just buy it there and then in the ticket office. Now you have to plan in advance. Hope Sky don't move it. And it is a lot more hassle than it used to be.
You've got a little bonus this year, though, Chris, haven't you? Because you're based in Hull these days, and Palace, for the first time in 10 years, are coming to your hood.
Yes, looking forward to it. Of course, it's been, you know, it's going to be moved to a Sunday. I've already looked both home games to a Sunday, but finally, back. I've got a game 4 miles from my front door, so I'm looking forward to that one in January.
And just quickly, Chris, what sort of person really engages in this kind of commitment, as in following their teams come rain or shine? Hell and high water.
Either a single person or someone with a very understanding partner. I think that's the key. You've got to have one or the other.
Or no partner.
There's a lot of commitments and a good salary as well, and an understanding boss as well.
When you need money.
You need money. You need a boss who'll give you time off at short notice. Newcastle away 2 seasons ago midweek. That was a brutal one. Not so much for me, but for the guys in London, it certainly was.
Sure. Listen, Chris, it's great to hear from you. I hope you have a fantastic season. It's been brilliant, heady times in the last few years for Crystal Palace. I hope that continues for your sake.
Brilliant. Cheers, Aidan. Thank you.
Chris Lehman there. He once got to Bradford to find a match called off. He travelled all the way from Gillingham.
No.
Poor man. I don't know if he went to the rescheduled match, but I think they lost.
What a shame. Even worse.
You know, it's the hazard you take.
All right.
Certainly is.
Aidan, thank you for bringing that to us. See you next hour.
Well, yes, indeed. See you in the next hour, Aidan. Still to come here, though, farmers are warning of shortages of one of Britain's favourite crops. Find out what that is next.
Yeah, in the papers with Festus Akinbisoye and Anna Firth. Morning, you two. Chat to you in just a second.
And here's your forecast for our top European destinations.
Can't wait to get in that sea.
Lovely and warm.
Just like the feeling of having great travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
The heat is building and intensifying across central and eastern parts of Europe through the next few days. Fine for many parts of Europe, but the risk of thunderstorms for the Alps and a few scattered elsewhere in many parts. I think for the Canary Islands, mostly dry with sunny spells and feeling hot here. 1 or 2 showers and thunderstorms for northern and eastern parts of Spain, otherwise hot sunshine. But the temperatures across Italy into Croatia, more especially into Hungary and Bulgaria, really quite high for the time of year, up into the high 30s.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Britain's Newsroom. Weekday mornings from 9:30.
Yes, the Malaysian government has announced that it will renew the search for Malaysia Airlines flight MH370, which disappeared 10 years ago without a trace.
Yes, the plane was carrying 239 people from Kuala Lumpur to Beijing. Previous attempts to locate the plane have all failed, leaving the families of those on board without any kind of closure.
Well, for more on this, let's speak to Terry Tozer, a former airline pilot and author of Confessions of an Airline Pilot, Why Planes Crash. Terry, you sound like the perfect man to talk to about this, because this is perhaps the biggest aviation mystery of our modern age.
Yeah, it is, and obviously a great tragedy as well. It's good to know that they're going to have another crack at trying to find it.
GB News, the People's Channel. This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
This is just health and safety gone mad. It's not the role of public authorities to be telling people what's for their best interest. And the reality is, it's probably better to take the chance of a tree branch falling on you than going out in the sun and getting getting burnt in the sun. But the reality is, the reason why these councils are saying you've got to stay out of underneath the trees is they don't want anybody to get struck by a branch which they have a liability to, whilst they don't have a liability for anybody getting sunburnt. So it's all to do with public liability. I mean, if you look at East Cheshire Council, for example, in 2024, they had to pay out £500,000 because a branch fell on somebody.
GB News, the People's Channel. This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
In my hand, I have a colander. I have a piece of paper. Yes, there you have one too. So I'm going to run it so you can see me. So I think what you do is you shine, you indicate, you tell me what to do, and I'll do it for you.
You never look at the sun directly.
Yep,
you
good.
allow the light to go through the colander, and that'll actually act as a pinhole camera and project images of the sun onto the piece of paper, and then you can look at the piece of paper and see the eclipse take place. Simple as that. You can do it also by using binoculars or a telescope and projecting an image through from them onto a piece of paper.
Yep.
That will work just as well. Or get a bucket of water, let it settle, and look in the bucket of water, and you'll see the image of the sun in the water, and then you can observe the eclipse that way.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Right. Hello, everybody. Let's go through your front pages together.
The Telegraph leads to the story that PC Andrew Harper's killers will still be eligible for early release from prison. That's despite the Prime Minister's review of the policy.
The Times reports on that same story with the headline, "Killers but not rapists to be given early release," after the PM confirmed grooming gang perpetrators will not be eligible for the scheme.
The Daily Mail leads with the arrest of an Afghan migrant in Athens over the murder of Scottish charity worker Elizabeth Jane Ross.
And finally, The Guardian leads on an image of the wildfires in Greece with the line, "A continent waits for rain."
Well, joining us to go through the papers this morning is Anna Firth and Festus Akinbasoye. Morning, you two. Festus, let's start with this horrific story, which is on many of the front pages this morning. The Athens suitcase murder suspect. Tell us about this story for those who aren't familiar.
So here's a man who was an Afghan migrant. He went through several European countries to get to Greece, converted to Islam, and then married an American lady in Greece. They set up sort of a charity that was a Christian charity, and Elizabeth, who born in Scotland, was a Christian volunteer missionary, effectively. And the allegation now is that he has killed her. And after he killed her, actually spent some of the money from her bank card, even sent messages to her family using this woman's phone. And so this is all an allegation at the moment. We must be clear about that. But the circumstances of it is extraordinary. But what's also quite interesting reading the man's story is that his brother was kidnapped by the Taliban in Afghanistan. He experienced an awful lot of traumatic experience in his life, was shot at by the Iranian army at some point during his 40-something day foot journey from Afghanistan to illegally then getting himself into Athens. Which then begs the question, some of these individuals who are coming into Europe, for want of a better word, some of them have been through horrific life experience because of war and so on and so forth. How do we know the state of mind of some of these people? And how well suited are they to life in a society like this? But whatever the case might be, the circumstance around this woman's murder is just heartbreaking.
Terrifying, heartbreaking, Anna, and many people will see this story and just their jaws are going to drop.
I just find these stories so upsetting because, you know, this lady looks just so beautiful, doesn't she?
It's just awful.
And you know, your heart just goes out to the family. And what causes people to do these brutal crimes and then to apparently pack her body into a suitcase and dump it? I mean, it's disgusting, absolutely disgusting. And I hope he's caught. I hope he's flung in jail and we throw away the key. I mean, it's up to Greece, but that's what I hope they do.
Well, look, let's have a little look at this. App will track rail passengers' location to stop fare evasion, Anna. What's this all about?
Well, I mean, this is an app which the GPS is going to use GPS to track rail passengers' locations, so that effectively train companies can bill them for the correct fare. But I actually thought that was pretty much already happening. You know, I love the tapping in and the tapping out, and you know, therefore being charged digitally. But what I object to here is they want to clamp down on people who are not paying their full fare. But every time I get off the tube at London Bridge, I see people pushing through that double gate where you should go if you've got luggage. And I don't see anybody doing anything to stop them. Surely that's the first place to start.
Yeah, well, something needs to be done about Festus, because it just seems to be rampant.
I mean, in London, we've seen a doubling in the number of people who are evading fares at a time where fare prices have gone up about nearly 7%, and enforcement have halved. And if you look at the amount of people, for example, who are earning over £100,000 at TfL, that number is about 188 when Sadiq Khan came into power, to about 600. So you're thinking, well, you know, this is costing a fortune, and absolutely whatever can be done to clamp down on fare evasion is necessary. Like you said, we see people pushing through.
I see it
all the time.
Every day.
Every single
and it's a sign that people do not care about breaking the law anymore because there are no consequences for them whatsoever.
It doesn't ever seem that there are consequences for those barriers being smashed open, but usually young men, I have to say.
And we're all paying for it, by the way. We're all paying for it.
It's not free, is it? It has a cost,
not at all.
and it's me and you picking up the tab. Anna, let's stay with you, shall we, and look at a crop that is under threat from heat waves. Tell us more.
Yeah, well, I'm very, very concerned about this story, of course, because we have fantastic fish and chips, as you know, in Leigh-on-Sea.
We do, yeah,
and
very familiar.
We need those good potatoes.
What is it, the best?
The best.
They are the best.
Leigh-on-Sea, especially Old Leigh in Essex. Head down there on a Sunday.
Gosh, this is fantastic.
Lovely.
Okay, fine. I will not argue with Ellie.
We'll see you down there at the weekend, Ellie. But this is actually a serious story, because growers of potatoes in East Anglia are saying that actually they need temperatures, effectively they need temperatures up to 30 degrees, not above 30 degrees, which is what we've been having all through July. And that actually the potatoes are not growing, and that we may have a potato shortage. Now, turns out you can use last year's crop, and so those who have been clever and have bought in advance, McCain's, are going to do well out of this. But we do need to ensure that these potatoes actually, even if they're chucking water on them, it says, that they are still not growing as they normally do.
This is sort of a wider problem, Festus, because you know, the war in Iran is sort of here nor there. We don't really know whether that's coming or going. The Strait of Hormuz is open, closed regularly. We don't know whether that's staying open or being closed. And that's going to cause a fertiliser shortage on top of a drought that we've all had across Europe this year. It's not good.
It's not good. I mean, look, I love fish and chips. I prefer mine with saveloy, but anyway. But the thing is, the cost of... Yes, saveloy is brilliant.
Saveloy? Oh,
yes,
no.
brilliant.
Covered in batter, that is so bad for
Okay, I'll have it with chips, with fish as well. But anyway, but, you know, the cost of it is already something that many people are struggling with. This is just going to make the cost of, you know, of a packet of fish and chips that much more expensive. But let's wait and see and just pray for some rain. Lots of it.
Yeah, and the farmers are certainly praying for rain, aren't they?
Yes.
I mean, we were talking about apples earlier on, and one farmer going to desperate measures, putting a clay paste on the outside of his apples, because apparently once it gets over 30 degrees, they start to boil.
Yes.
The juice inside the apple boils, and the whole crop is destroyed.
But also, can we just have another shout out for people putting water out in their gardens, because the insects and the birds and the butterflies and the hedgehogs in particular and the badgers, they are absolutely suffering in this drought, and they are dying through lack of water. And we can all do something about that.
There was a little butterfly who kept coming into my house yesterday, and I kept trying to shoo him back out the back door, and he kept on coming in. And he must have been just so confused with the hot weather.
I just hope it didn't...
coming in for a bit of...
I just hope it didn't fly into a cobweb.
No.
Because that would be pretty
cobwebs
bad.
in my house, Vesta.
Oh, really? OK.
But no, I'm a clean freak. I'm a clean freak.
Right, loads more to talk about on the show today. We're going to have Ben Ainsley as well, aren't we? For,
yes, good point.
Yeah.
9:15.
The government at 9 o'clock as well. We'll be talking to them about the early prisoner release, among many things. And, of course, lots more to get into with the papers with you two in an hour's time as well. So thank you both for joining us. In the meantime, we're going to have a look at your weather with Aidan McGivern.
Today's outlook: cool, calm and completely horizontal. Boxed Aircon sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello, good morning. Welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. A warm and humid day for many of us, especially towards the south and the east. Rain or showers, especially towards the north and the west, with thunderstorms for some. It's actually a damp start to the day for Scotland, for Northern Ireland. Heavy and persistent rain. Showers, meanwhile, moving through parts of Wales and the west of England. And the rain across Scotland and Northern Ireland breaks it into showers, with thunderstorms likely for Northern Ireland. These slow-moving storms could cause impacts through the afternoon and evening, especially given the time of year. Drier towards the east and southeast, and with some sunshine, and still another day with temperatures into the low 30s and high humidity. It's going to feel really quite warm. Meanwhile, not feeling warm at all across northern Scotland. Persistent rain and low cloud expected, with a keen breeze from the east. Here are these lively showers across central and southern Scotland, with some rumbles of thunder mixed in. Likewise, slow-moving thunderstorms continuing into the evening for Northern Ireland. Hit and miss showers, central and western England as well as Wales, interspersed by some brighter spells, but the best of the sunshine as we end the day, East Anglia and the southeast, with the warmth continuing overnight. Another humid, muggy night to come for many. Areas of clouds swirling around the United Kingdom, and some showers popping up just about anywhere. Very little meaningful rainfall in the south and southeast where it's most needed, but there could be a few drops here and there. More persistent wet weather continuing for the north of Scotland and Northern Ireland. And a warm start to Wednesday, but actually during Wednesday we see this change in wind direction, west to northwesterlies, bringing a fresher feel. Still mostly dry for England and Wales, sunny spells, and aside from a few showers in the north and west, a mostly fine day. Scotland and Northern Ireland, meanwhile, damp weather continuing and feeling on the cool side, fresher conditions towards the southeast.
Today's outlook: cool, calm and completely horizontal. Boxed Aircon sponsors the weather on GB News.
Thank you, Britain, for making GB News Radio such a huge success. Whether you're in the car, on the go or listening at home, thank you for choosing us as your radio station.
Good morning, this is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. The M3 westbound between junctions 2 and 3 in Thorpe has a lane closure. There is congestion on the M1 southbound slip road between junctions 15A and 15 in Northampton. The A428 is closed after the A1 near St Neots. North of the border, the A78 is closed in both directions between Dunlop Street and Rayto Street due to planned roadworks. Across Wales, the A5 at Menai Bridge is closed. And on the trains, cross-country and Great Western Railway services have reduced service between Newport and Cardiff Central, with disruption on multiple routes. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
We're celebrating a golden summer with your chance to win a real gold bar. That's right, a fine gold bullion bar worth over £5,000 could be yours. We're also going to make sure your finances are fabulous with £60,000 in tax-free cash. For a chance to win, text GOLD to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entry start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB22 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 21st of August. This is a network giveaway. Entries will be pulled. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
At the stroke of midnight, the news doesn't stop, and neither do we.
Day in, day out. Forget stuffy late-night TV shows. We're giving you a front-row ticket to the centre of the political universe.
Because breaking news doesn't wait for the morning.
And neither do we. Join us for one of the most controversial and volatile times of politics in human history.
A very big story.
Big story over here.
You won't get this anywhere else. The Late Show live at midnight, every night.
Only on GB News.
Bold. They are under no illusion. Ray, are you a human trafficker? Boundless. I've had enough of the nonsense, and I'm not afraid to say it. Don't get this on the BBC. Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines. The smell of gasoline. Should we be worried about it? From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos. I'm going to do now, they are throwing things out the car as we speak. Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christie's tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Good morning. The Prime Minister Andy Burnham is under fire after confirming that PC Andrew Harper's killers will be released from prison early.
Well, Harper's widow condemns the decision as an utter betrayal, with Burnham announcing that only grooming gang perpetrators, rapists and child sex offenders will be excluded from the early release scheme.
Well, with backlash mounting, is this really the right time for the Prime Minister, who has been in the job just 2 weeks, to jet off on his summer holiday?
Yes, Andy Burnham has a lot of difficult decisions ahead and is going to get a huge backlash for this early release plan. He's off on holiday. Is that the right call?
And the European Union is finally set to hold emergency talks today to discuss the migration crisis after those shocking scenes in Ceuta.
Well, the small boats crisis worsens as it's revealed that more than 2,000 illegal migrants have made the journey to Dover since Andy Burnham took over as Prime Minister. Could Nigel Farage's plan to use the military to protect our borders be the silver bullet solution that Britain so desperately needs?
If the Royal Navy is not there to protect this country from invasion, then frankly, I can't see what its purpose is.
And President Trump tells GB News what he makes of Andy Burnham. That's as he shares his thoughts on Europe's migration crisis.
I think we're going to have a very good relationship. We'll see. I'm not going to tell him how to run his country, but I can tell you, immigration is an incredible problem for Europe.
Elsewhere today, a 26-year-old Afghan migrant is held by Greek authorities. It's over the murder of a Scottish woman in Athens.
And elsewhere, the number of families adopting children is on a worrying decline. We're speaking to our very own Andrew Pearce about his adoption story.
Vinicius Jr. is back in training at Real Madrid ahead of talks over his future. Arsenal are reported to be poised with a bid for the Brazilian superstar. And another day, another blow for Gianni Infantino. UEFA this time say they'll set up their own rival version of the World Cup.
A wet start to the day today, but not in those areas where rain is most needed. Find out more about the contrasts in weather up and down the country in the forecast coming up soon.
Good morning, it's just gone 8 o'clock. I'm Ellie Costello.
And I'm Alex Armstrong, and this is GB News Breakfast.
Well, let's get straight into the politics, shall we, this morning, because the Prime Minister, Andy Burnham, is facing pressure after it emerged that the two men convicted over the 2018 killing of police officer Andrew Harper could still be eligible for early release from prison.
Well, that's after Andy Burnham announced that offenders convicted of grooming gang rape will be excluded from the scheme. Meanwhile, European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen has called for emergency talks, finally, today, amid growing tensions between EU member states, almost after, of course, 70,000 Moroccans poured into the Spanish enclave of Ceuta last week.
Well, joining us live now is Shadow Minister for Illegal Immigration, Crime Policing and Fire, Matt Vickers. Very good morning to you, Mr Vickers. Can we start with the early release scheme? Because we've had it confirmed now from the Prime Minister, Andy Burnham, that rapists and grooming gang perpetrators will remain in prison. They will not be eligible for early release, but this will not be extended to killers. And we know that this includes the killers of PC Andrew Harper. What's your reaction to that news?
Do you know what? For anybody who's been a victim of some of the most heinous and awful crimes, like these individuals, to not see, you know, if you've lost a family member in these circumstances, and to see this Prime Minister making a decision that that person should still be released, it's just entirely unacceptable. What these people have campaigned for, I remember Lizzie Harper campaigned day and night, put herself forward to get justice for Andrew Harper. She's got it, and this government's rejecting it. This Labour government have done terrible things, but to release these people early, for those Labour MPs across the country who walk through those lobbies to support this, it is astounding, it is disgraceful, it is disgusting. And actually the other part of this is killers are being released early. He said that he's exempting serious child sexual offenders. Well, what sexual offence against a child isn't serious, and how is he going to pick? In my view, any sexual offence against a child is serious. Any killing is serious, and those people should be locked up and follow the sentences they were given by a judge.
Matt, what would your party do about the crisis? Because the Prime Minister, of course, is going to argue, and the Labour Party will argue to you that this is your fault. Your party left the prisons in the state that it is today. I know you're now a changed party, as your party leader tells us very often, so we don't want to keep on blaming you guys for this all the time. However, what would you do? You'd be faced with a similar issue right now. How would you fix the prisons crisis?
Well, there's two parts to that. The last government actually made two decisions that put pressure on our prison service. One of them was to not allow the mass early release of prisoners during the pandemic, like many other countries. And the other decision that was made was to toughen up sentences, to subject those horrible, violent and sexual offenders to more time in jail. Those were the right decisions to make. Would we have liked to have built more prisons? Yes, we would. Were we building more? We actually embarked on the biggest prison building programme since the Victorian era. We were opening additional prison places. We were seeing plans put in place to open even more. When that election occurred, Labour came in, they've released 60,000 people early already. What do you think's happened to the number of places in our prison service? In the last year, it's gone down by 450. So they're releasing these people. Are they prioritising building more places? 450 less places. We've heard about that contract where a builder went bust and went to administration. It took them 18 months to pick up the building of 3,500 places. There are three ways you solve this. The first thing is to leave the ECHR and deport all foreign national offenders. That's about 10,000 prison places. The second thing is that you actually manage the process competently. You don't have 18-month delays in the building of 3,500 prison places. And the other thing you do is actually to prioritise this. They haven't approved any plans to build any additional prison places beyond what was already expected. Instead, they're spending money. We know where the money's going. We are paying record levels of tax. There are less police on our streets, less teachers in our schools, less places in our prison. But this year, that welfare budget is going to go up by £18 billion. This needs to be a priority for the government. They need to keep the British people safe. They need to keep these vile offenders locked up for their full sentence.
Can I ask you what you make of Reform's plans to deal with illegal migration, talking about deploying the Navy in order to intercept every single small boat that crosses the Channel and take them back to France or Belgium? You may have seen that France has responded, saying that this would break maritime laws, that it would break international laws, but Reform is saying this would be a humanitarian mission and therefore it wouldn't break any international laws. Do you consider this to be the silver bullet solution that Britain needs right now?
So many cynics would argue that Farage is desperate to distract from his fishy 5 million investigation because he's not answering those questions that need answering. Actually, it's an eye-catching thing, isn't it? It gets a headline, but is it really deliverable? There were lots of questions at that press conference yesterday that remain unanswered. We've heard lots of experts overnight. How do you compel people to get on that Royal Navy boat? How do you get them back to that coast? You've then got the French who are refusing to take them. Lots of questions to answer them. The answers weren't particularly forthcoming in that press conference yesterday. What we need to do, the solution to this problem, the National Crime Agency have made it clear, the public know it, you need to ensure that people know that if they come to this country illegally, if they break into Britain, they will not be allowed to stay. There needs to be a deterrent. If you break in, you will not be allowed to stay. No ifs, no buts. This government's allowed people who come illegally to gain British citizenship. They unpicked legislation that was in place to prevent them doing so. They're allowing them to apply for asylum, deport and detain people who arrive illegally.
Very, very brief response to you on this one, Matt, if you don't mind. Prime Minister's about to jet off on holiday. He's only been in office for 2 weeks. Are we being unfair criticising him for taking a break?
Well, before Parliament broke up, we asked him to come to the dispatch box and take a few questions. He hasn't dared to. People out there are worried about immigration. They're worried about the cost of living. They're worried about the million young people not in education, employment and training. And they're worried about the size of that benefits bill that is crippling businesses and families across the country in tax. He needs to get back here. He needs to start answering some questions.
OK, Matt Vickers, thank you very much for joining us this morning on GB News Breakfast. Good to see you.
Thanks, Matt. Appreciate it. Let's have a little chat now with GB News' political correspondent, Olivia Utley. Good morning, Olivia. How are we doing today?
Very good, thank you.
Lots to talk about because, again, we're now starting to see some of Andy Burnham's decisions come to fruition. One of his decisions has been early release. The government are going to be talking to us about this in an hour's time, so we will be putting some questions to them. But, of course, the big story here is that those awful men who, the killers of PC Harper, will be released, seemingly, as part of this early release scheme. What should we make of that?
Well, Andy Burnham had an impossible decision to make here on early release. Shabana Mahmood introduced this early release scheme back in 2024. And what it means is that serious offenders, but not the most serious offenders, could be released after half of their sentence rather than 2/3 of their sentence, which is currently the norm. Andy Burnham was then under a lot of pressure when he came in as Prime Minister to keep those rules tough, to toughen them up even more. And he has done, but then he's sort of had to water it down again at the last minute. So he's found some sort of compromise here. There is a reason why he's pushing ahead with this early release scheme. It's not just something that Andy Burnham wants to do. The prison population is on the verge of total collapse. The prediction is that by this November, we could run out of places for male prisoners altogether. And Andy Burnham's compromise is to allow killers, so those convicted of manslaughter, to be released early, but not rapists. Those convicted of domestic violence against their partners will also be released after half their sentences. Now, obviously, this has received a huge backlash, not just from the Conservatives and Reform, as you've heard there, but from people in his own party. And I think this is just a taster of what we've got to come with Andy Burnham. He knows that over that Makerfield, I mean, we didn't hear very much from him on policy at all, but over that Makerfield by-election, Andy Burnham wanted to be everything to everyone. He has this enormous majority. The Labour Party at the moment is a very, very broad church. It's got Blairites, it's got those on the hard left, it's got those on the soft left. He wanted to be friends with everyone, and so he dished out a lot of different promises. As Prime Minister, he can't fulfil all of those promises, and he is going to have to make really, really difficult decisions like this one. Another decision which is going to be a really tricky one for him is that jury trials one. David Lammy, as Justice Secretary, said that jury trials would be scrapped for all but the most serious of cases. There was a huge backlash to this within the Labour Party. Andy Burnham has now implied that he's going to reverse that and keep jury cases for the number of crimes that they currently are. That would be very expensive and very difficult. And I suspect that when he looks at the numbers in more detail, he will see why David Lammy made that decision. There are just so many really difficult decisions that Andy Burnham is going to have to make over the next few months, and he's going to have to find compromises. And some of these compromises will be displeasing not only to his own backbenchers, but to people around the country, and that is what is so difficult.
Yeah.
Right, Olivia Utley, thank you very much. Really interesting stuff. He's got a lot more trouble ahead, hasn't he? All right.
Let's get a check on the weather now, shall we, with Aidan McGibbon.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello, good morning. Welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. A warm and humid day for many of us, especially towards the south and the east. Rain or showers, especially towards the north and the west, with thunderstorms for some. It's actually a damp start to the day for Scotland, for Northern Ireland. Heavy and persistent rain. Showers, meanwhile, moving through parts of Wales and the west of England. And the rain across Scotland and Northern Ireland breaks it into showers with thunderstorms likely for Northern Ireland. These slow-moving storms could cause impacts through the afternoon and evening, especially given the time of year. Drier towards the east and southeast, and with some sunshine, and still another day with temperatures into the low 30s and high humidity. It's going to feel really quite warm. Meanwhile, not feeling warm at all across northern Scotland. Persistent rain and low cloud expected with a keen breeze from the east. Here are these lively showers across central and southern Scotland with some rumbles of thunder mixed in. Likewise, slow-moving thunderstorms continuing into the evening for Northern Ireland. Hit and miss showers, central and western England as well as Wales, interspersed by some brighter spells, but the best of the sunshine as we end the day, East Anglia and the southeast, with the warmth continuing overnight. Another humid, muggy night to come for many. Areas of clouds swirling around the United Kingdom and some showers popping up just about anywhere. Very little meaningful rainfall in the south and southeast where it's most needed, but there could be a few drops here and there. More persistent wet weather continuing for the north of Scotland and Northern Ireland. And a warm start to Wednesday, but actually during Wednesday we see this change in wind direction, west to northwesterlies, bringing a fresher feel. Still mostly dry for England and Wales, sunny spells, and aside from a few showers in the north and west, a mostly fine day. Scotland and Northern Ireland, meanwhile, damp weather continuing and feeling on the cool side, fresher conditions towards the southeast.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Well, let's speak now to Reform UK Chairman Lee Anderson. Very good morning to see you. Very good morning. Very good morning to you, Lee. Yeah. There you go.
Good morning.
Very good morning. Can we talk about your plan to deploy the Royal Navy in order to intercept every single small boat that crosses the Channel and return them back to France or Belgium? So many of our viewers saying it sounds like common sense, but the French are saying that it would break international law and it would also violate its sovereignty. What do you say to that? You're in France right now, aren't you?
It won't be breaking any laws if these are rescue missions, and they are rescue missions. As soon as a dinghy goes into the water in France, they are at risk from serious harm or even worse, drowning in the Channel. So this is a mission of mercy. It's a rescue mission to pick these people up and bring them back to France. It's as simple as that. Oh, by the way, the French have had, nearly £1 billion from the British taxpayer over the last few years to stop this illegal migrant trade. And if, as the French say, they want to stop this trade, they should be only too happy to help us do this.
And Lee Anderson, tell us a little bit about where you are today, because you are in France. We can see some smoke behind you. Just want to tell us a little bit about what you're doing there.
Yeah, we're outside a migrant camp. We're between Calais and Dunkirk. We've been up early doors this morning. We was on the beaches at about 4 a.m. this morning looking for possible boat crossings. We didn't see any, but we saw signs that they'd been crossing there before. We saw a dinghy that had been cut up and left on the beach. So we've made our way to one of the migrant camps to see what's going off here. There's It's quite a big camp, to be honest with you, Alex. There's lots of, it's a disgusting conditions here. There's bonfires. There's lots of rubbish everywhere. There's people wandering around. We've seen the NGO officers as well. It's and this is, you know, this is where the journey starts across the channel for a lot of people. Some of these people in these camps have come from, you know, countries thousands and thousands of miles away, and now they're camped here living in all sorts of squalid conditions, ready to make that journey across the channel. And it begs the question, why are these people living like this when they could claim asylum in France?
Are you seeing the presence of French police, French authorities in that migrant camp or on the beaches this morning?
Yeah, well, don't worry about that. As soon as we rocked at about 4 a.m. this morning, with our high-vis jackets on and a few cameras, within minutes, the French police, armed to the teeth, turned up with a tear gas on and asked us what we were doing. They asked to see our ID. They asked the press people to see their press passes, and there was, you know, they stopped us going on the beach at one stage. And I thought, my word, if only they could be as so proactive when the illegal migrants are trying to jump on a dinghy and get to the UK. It was very quick at stopping.
I think we might have lost Lee there, unfortunately, at the moment. We'll see if we can bring Lee back in just a moment's time for you. But the difference between that and what we saw the other week was that we had Chris Philp, the Shadow Home Secretary, on the beaches, able to speak to migrants.
Or trying to, at least. They wouldn't speak to him.
Yeah, that's true, yes. There was a bit of some sort of discussion with some of them, I think. However, the point is that in the last week, given some of those scenes, we saw tweets from the Home Office saying we've now deployed 1,000 staff there.
Yeah.
Right? So this is the thing.
Why wasn't it happening before?
Why wasn't it happening before? If we're spending all this money on it, you can guarantee Shabana Mahmood's picked up the phone and gone, you guys aren't doing your job. We've got members of Parliament out there at the moment and making us look stupid. And they've gone, all right, maybe for the next week or so we'll up the staffing of this. But this is how it should be all the time, right? This is how it should be all the time. And I think it's all turned into a bit of a farce, hasn't it? A bit of a theatre. That's my opinion, at least, anyway.
Well, apologies for those technical difficulties talking to Lee Anderson there. We should say that a Home Office spokesperson has said that this government is bearing down on small boat crossings, with removals of small boat migrants at record levels and asylum claims down by 12%. We have removed or deported almost 70,000 people who were here illegally, an increase of 41%. And we're going further to remove the incentives that draw illegal migrants to this country.
Well, we will be putting a lot of these questions to the Justice Secretary, Alex Norris, just after 9 a.m. Don't want to miss that one, trust me. We're going to be asking him if it's really also the right time for Andy Burnham, the new Prime Minister, to jet off on a 2-week holiday, considering he's only been Prime Minister for 2 weeks.
Oh, yes. But first, our very own Andrew Pearce is here telling us his story of being adopted. That's as adoption rates have fallen dramatically. That's next.
Breaking news, live updates, stories that matter.
From the heart of the GB newsroom to every corner of Britain, with our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
GB News Bulletins are there to deliver the latest news that matters to you. Bulletins on GB News,
the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience, because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions, but every Friday night at 9 p.m. you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
Because
the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes and Kerr weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Do you trust what you're being told? Good, because neither do I.
Those are just facts.
I'm Alex Armstrong, and on my show, we'll expose the spin.
Well, I want to answer that, because you didn't let me last time, because you always speak over me.
The broken promises.
To deny that is denying the truth.
And the hypocrisy.
Needs to stop. You think we can allow?
Politics, policy, Parliament. Nothing is off limits. No sugarcoating, no fear of offence, just the truth laid bare. Tune in every Saturday and Sunday at 9 p.m. for Alex Armstrong Tonight, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Here at GB News, we made a promise to tell your stories.
And on the 6th of August, we're marking 5 years of doing exactly that.
Celebrate with us by having your say. Join in the debates live on TV and radio.
And tune in as your favourite presenters are live across the country, from Leeds to Aberdeen, from Belfast to Barry Island.
Plus, join me in Essex for our biggest live show of the year. Tune in this Thursday, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Here at GB News, we made a promise to tell your stories.
And on the 6th of August, we're marking 5 years of doing exactly that.
Celebrate with us by having your say. Join in the debates live on TV and radio.
And tune in as your favourite presenters are live across the country, from Leeds to Aberdeen, from Belfast to Barry Island.
Plus, join me in Essex for our biggest live show of the year. Tune in this Thursday, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to Breakfast. It's 8:24. Now, 100 years ago, adoption was first recognised in law, and the number of families actually being approved to adopt has now dropped to a worrying level.
Well, one person who knows a lot about adoption is our very own Andrew Pearson. He's here with us in the studio right now. Andrew, you've got your book there. Let's have a look at that. Let's put that up, Finding Margaret.
Fantastic read, this one.
Yeah.
Andrew, I found my birth mother.
There you go. So why don't you tell us? Just go for it.
Look, I'm saying to people who are thinking, should they adopt? Do it, because I had a fantastic life, because I was in an orphanage in Cheltenham, Gloucestershire, run by the Sisters of Nazareth. I think it's fair to say those nuns weren't always, the milk of human kindness didn't always course through their veins, to be said. But I was in the home for the best part of 2 3/4 years, and Betty and George Pierce, who were a couple in Swindon Council Estate, they already had 3 kids. They wanted a 4th child. A priest had been to the church and said, there's a lot of children in this orphanage 50 miles away and they need homes. And Betty and George thought, I wonder. So they went looking, and they found this little fella. There he is. That's Patrick.
Oh, you're very, very cute.
Yeah. And it was a big risk for them, because my mum's own dad said, "You sure about this? He could, he could have bad genes. He could be a scally." Probably have turned out to be a bit of a scally. But they did it. They went ahead, and I had a fantastic life. And then it was only many years later, when I was nearly 50 actually, I decided to find Margaret, who was my birth mother, because I knew nothing about her at all. Not a thing. Not a thing.
And how was that process for you finding Margaret? Was it quite difficult?
Difficult, complicated. She made it very difficult to be found. It was a shock to discover. My first newspaper was in Cheltenham, that's where the orphanage was. My second newspaper was Birmingham. I discovered many years later that's where Margaret was living.
Wow.
And yet she'd had me in Bristol. So I was born in Bristol, put in a home in Cheltenham. She lived in Birmingham. She was trying never to be caught and tracked down. But I did find her. It wasn't straightforward. And what was quite obvious about her was she could only be my mother. That's where those cheekbones come from.
Really?
Yeah.
Were you the spitty image of her?
Yeah, and she's very Irish, staunch Roman Catholic, and of course, she'd got married. She gave me up for adoption when she met somebody else. She fell in love with him, and she had her own family. She had 4 children of her own. And the big shock about finding Margaret was I assumed that my mum was 17, 18 when she had me. She was 34.
Really?
Oh, wow. 34. Now, that was pretty unusual in the early 1960s. So she'd obviously battled very hard to try to keep me because she wanted to give me a home. But even in those days, as a 34-year-old woman in the 1960s, single mothers,
Yes.
don't think so.
Frowned upon.
Terrible social stigma, particularly for her, Irish, Roman Catholic. Her family never knew. I was the big secret.
And since you met your mother, your real mother, how did that change your life? Did you meet your other siblings?
I've met one of them, and I never call her my real mother. I call her my birth mother because my real mum is the one who adopted me. Yeah, who did a fantastic job, and I felt torn with guilt about not telling Betty what I'd done because I thought she'd say, "Oh, I completely support you doing it, son." Of course I do, but I think she'd have been very hurt. Because she'd have thought there wasn't quite enough love in the life she'd given me, but that wasn't the case.
But you want to understand your own story.
You do. You want to know, I want to know why I look like this, why I sound like this. And I'm glad I did it. And people who are thinking about tracking down their birth parents, they should, because the law allows you to. And birth parents now can track down their children, which makes it a lot easier for them.
What was that transition like for you? Because you said that Betty and George already had 3 children.
Yeah, they
I'm
did.
sure there's lots of people considering adoption who already have children of their own, and they're worried about how that would work. What was that experience like for you?
There was it was Susan and Shirley and Christopher. They never. I felt no resentment even once. They quite liked the idea of a new little brother.
Yeah.
A new little brother to bully. To push around in the nicest possible way, in the nicest possible way. And I never ever felt growing up that I was different to them. I never felt my mum and dad were anything other than my wonderful mum and dad who I adored and worshipped right to the very end. And I've lost mum and dad now, and I've lost one of my sisters too. But we're a close family, and nobody thinks. It's only sometimes when we're all together, if someone would say, "Which one was the adopted one?" I think they'd work it out. Because I'm the one with dark hair, and I'm a bit slimmer. My family are a bit broader of girth than I was.
Andrew, can I ask you this? Because there's adoption levels are drastically falling.
Yeah, they are.
Why do you think that is? Is there a stigma around it?
Well, I mean, I wonder if there's perhaps too many questions being asked of would-be parents. I mean, my mum and dad didn't go through too many hoops. They were a willing couple who had 3 kids, and they just fitted the bill.
Maybe you needed a home.
Yeah, and it's a shame because there are 3,000 kids in England who need a home, and there's only 1,300 families willing to take them. So you want to get these kids out of care. I mean, they're not in all big orphanages like I was in now, but they're in care, and that's only a temporary solution. So organisations like Coram are the best to talk to because they're brilliant. They advise would-be adopters. I've done what I can to support it. It's a charity. It's the biggest adoption charity. So talk to them because they'll help you through it. Because I think it's a bit daunting, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
Taking on a
Where
child.
do people even begin?
Yeah, and not many people also want toddlers. They want babies. So if this child is 3 or 4, who's already got maybe set in their ways, again, that's another issue for potential adopters. But I was probably set in my ways. I'm told I was quite a stubborn child when I arrived in Swindon.
What's changed?
Yeah,
what's changed?
Yeah.
No, that's a lovely story.
I had moments of charm.
Oh, but adoption's a wonderful thing,
is.
and it's done wonderful things for your life,
Well, I've
hasn't
turned
it?
out
So
all right.
you're very grateful for it.
Good book
Turned
as well.
out brilliant.
Yeah,
Great book there. Great book there.
Yeah, do pick it up. Finding Margaret by Andrew Pearce in all good bookshops.
All right, slick. Thanks, Andrew. Let's take a quick look at your traffic and travel update.
Good morning. This is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. There is a collision on the M25 anti-clockwise at junction 12 in Thorpe, causing delays. The A5 is closed after the A453. The A428 is closed after the A1 near St Neots. North of the border, the M8 eastbound has lane restrictions at junction 2 near Claylands, causing queues. Across Wales, the A5 at Menai Bridge is closed. And on the trains, cross-country and Great Western Railway services have reduced service between Newport and Cardiff Central with disruption on multiple routes. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Now, do stay with us. Still to come, after 9 o'clock this morning, we are speaking to the Justice Secretary, Alex Norris. We're also going to be asking, should the government do more to prevent PC Andrew Harper's killers being freed from prison early? We're going to put that and much more to him, aren't we?
We certainly are. But before then, we're going to get the details of that shocking case out of Athens of a Scottish woman who was killed and discarded in a suitcase. More on the man who's been arrested next.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Bold. They are under no illusion. Ray. Are you a human trafficker? Boundless. I've had enough of the nonsense, and I'm not afraid to say it.
Don't get us on the BBC.
Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines. The smell of gasoline. Should we be worried about it? From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos. What I'm going to do now is they are throwing things out the car as we speak. Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christie's tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Welcome to Free Speech Nation with me, Josh Howard. This is the show where each week we see what's happening in the world of culture, current affairs and politics.
First we'll say, welcome to the UK. Oh, thank you.
And we're not afraid to use our free speech so that you can use yours.
It's not controversial in the slightest to anyone who hasn't lost their mind.
Free Speech Nation, Sunday nights at 7 p.m, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
As soon as it hits 11 and the headlines come in,
The Late Edition brings you the breaking news from all the front pages.
because the news is going to happen.
So get a head start today.
Patrick Christie's tonight, late edition.
Alex Armstrong tonight, Late Edition. From 11 o'clock every night.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
No,
isn't it?
no,
Because the failure is...
you're
the failure is...
deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back,
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
and we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes and Kerr weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Well, a 26-year-old Afghan migrant has been arrested following the death of a Scottish woman whose body was found inside a suitcase in the Greek capital of Athens.
38-year-old Elizabeth Jane Ross is believed to have died between 5 and 7 days before she was found. And it's understood that the suspect used her phone and accessed her bank account in that time.
This is an absolutely shocking case, isn't it? And we're going to be joined now by senior reporter for the Daily Mail, Nick Peter. Nick, thanks for joining us to talk about this case, because rightfully it's captured the front page of the Daily Mail today. Lots of people writing in about how shocked they are about this. What can you tell us?
Yes, well, as you said there, quite a shocking case, also quite fast-moving, really, because details only emerged a week or so ago, less than a week or so ago, about Elizabeth Jane Ross's the discovery of her body, and the police moved quite quickly. Actually, we know that they used CCTV footage in and around the area that her body was discovered. And let's go back a little bit. As you said, her body was found in this suitcase in an abandoned warehouse in a part of Athens known as Calypsi, and from there, the police launched their investigation. And I think what was also shocking aspect to this murder is that in the time that she had disappeared, her family back home in Edinburgh had been receiving messages from her saying that all was okay and that she needed time to think and time to move away from Athens, and that she was going to go to a Greek island to have some time on her own. But all the time that these messages were being sent. We know now that she was actually in that suitcase in that derelict warehouse. And as you said there, yes, the police moved quickly and arrested a Afghan refugee who actually came to Greece about 10 years or so ago. He's actually a semi-professional boxer, and his name is Sharif Ahmadzai, 26 years old, and he is now in custody, and he's expected to appear before magistrates in Athens on Wednesday, charged with her murder.
And this has sent shockwaves not only in Greece but in this country too, and indeed around the world. It's just such a horrific case.
It is, because when you look at the background of Elizabeth Jane Ross, she was there actually as a humanitarian mission, if you like, really. She was there helping migrants who were in Athens and who were down on their luck and who needed some help. And she befriended this chap, this guy, Sharif Ahmadzai, and his wife as well. It's actually, we should mention his wife, Sharif Ahmadzai's wife, is key to this investigation as well, because she suddenly noticed a change in his behaviour as well. And all of a sudden, she had money. She was given money from him and also a new iPhone. And at about this time that the money was being given to her, police announced that they had discovered this body in the suitcase. She turned on her phone and she noticed that her husband's mobile phone was in the area where the suitcase had been found containing Elizabeth's body as well. So that set alarm bells ringing in her head. She went to the police and they acted. They raided the apartment at the weekend and they discovered a gun as well that he'd been keeping there. But intriguing, what we don't know is exactly how Elizabeth Jane Ross died, because her body, poor body, had been in that suitcase for several days. So to prove conclusively how she died has been very, very difficult for the investigators, but they think it was asphyxiation, but we expect to know more from that court case tomorrow in Athens.
And Nick, just very briefly, just for the audience at home, the images you're seeing here are of the alleged perpetrator and his innocent wife, as far as we're aware, not of the victim. But Nick, just very briefly, do we know how on earth or what circumstances led for the suspect and Elizabeth Jane to have come in contact in the first place?
Yeah, it's, in essence, is what we were discussing a few moments ago. Yes, Elizabeth Jane was there working with a charity, and she knew the accused and his wife through working through that charity. It's called Every Nation Loves Athens, and they set this charity up, a Christian charity in Athens, where they try to help refugees, homeless people who are down on their luck. And as I say, apparently Sharif's role within this charity was to help the youngsters. He trained them at boxing, and we know that he was actually quite a decent boxer. He'd won 2 bouts as a semi-professional super lightweight in Athens. So that's how that they knew Elizabeth Jane Ross, because we know Elizabeth was also, who was originally from Edinburgh, was also doing a lot of humanitarian work there in Athens, and she'd known them for many, many years as well, which also adds to the shocking element of this crime.
Well, Nick, as you say, it's a fast-moving investigation. I'm sure you're going to stay across all of the details there for us and bring it to us on GB News. So thank you very much for your time. We'll see you again soon.
Real shocker, this one.
Yeah,
real shocker. I hope we learn some more about this, because it's absolutely
sure we will. But as we were saying, front page of most of the newspapers this morning, because it is just such a horrific case.
It's truly horrific.
So shocking.
All right, well, listen, still to come, there's a new warning about the consequences of allowing young children to use social media. Find out about what experts are saying next with Festus and Anna on the papers.
But first, here's your forecast across Europe.
Dinner under the stars tonight?
That reminds me of our travel insurance.
You mean all clear skies?
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations forecast.
The heat is building and intensifying across central and eastern parts of Europe through the next few days. Fine for many parts of Europe, but the risk of thunderstorms for the Alps and a few scattered elsewhere in many parts. I think for the Canary Islands, mostly dry with sunny spells and feeling hot here. 1 or 2 showers and thunderstorms for northern and eastern parts of Spain, otherwise hot sunshine. But the temperatures across Italy into Croatia, more especially into Hungary and Bulgaria, really quite high for the time of year, up into the high 30s.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations forecast.
This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
4 heat waves, weeks without meaningful rain. As the UK heads towards one of its hottest summers on record, the pressure is showing here in Sussex, in the fruit growing across these fields. Well, the impact of the heat is already visible here. This local grower says that if these extreme temperatures continue, this year's harvest may well be smaller in size.
I don't think there's been another period like this in the history. 3 years ago, we had a tremendous heat wave in the middle of harvest. We were unable to get the fruit to cool down quickly enough. The following year, we had a very, very light crop, and the same again this year.
GB News, the People's Channel. This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
Britain's only all-female chess team, called She Plays to Win, has been promoted to the game's top division, only to be told they must recruit a male player to compete. Now, league rules require every First Division team to include at least one male and one female player, meaning that one of the team's female players could lose her place. I'm joined in the studio by the She Plays to Win chess players, Anusha and Alicia. Great to see you both this afternoon.
Thank you.
So sorry about what's going on. You've been promoted, but you might have to lose one of your teammates. What's going on here?
So essentially, we have fallen victim to this rule that She Plays to Win, our team, has been promoted to the First Division in our league, but now must have a male player as part of the rules.
GB News, the People's Channel. Good afternoon, Britain. Weekdays from midday.
Well, that drought is due to long periods, record periods actually, with no rainfall and high temperatures. The areas that are affected, as you say, over half of England, half of the UK affected by that. The areas being East Anglia, Hertfordshire, the whole of London, Thames Valley, Hampshire and the Isle of Wight, Devon and Cornwall, the West Midlands and Wessex, covering Dorset, Somerset, Wiltshire and Gloucestershire. So a huge area impacted by that drought. There is also that amber heat health alert still in place here. That's in place until tomorrow. And temperatures today in the south could reach up to 35 degrees. So people here in Bognor Regis coming to the coast to cool down.
GB News, the People's Channel.
All right, welcome to the papers. We're going to talk to Anna and Festus, and let's go through some more. Good morning. Should we take a look at what Donald Trump's been saying?
Yes, because he's answered 2 questions, hasn't he, to GB News. So should we just listen to this quick clip, Festus? Then you can tell us more.
Oh, we don't have the clip.
Oh, we don't have it.
Okay. Well, we have played it a few times this morning. Oh, no, they found it now. Go on, well, let's play it.
Look, you have to stop illegal immigration in Europe. I know Europe better than anybody, better than the people that run it, and I have great relationships. 2 things are killing Europe. Number 1 is immigration, number 2 is energy. Like the UK, when you look at the UK, they have one of the best energy fields in the world, North Sea oil. Now, I think your new prime minister is going to actually open up from what I hear, I spoke to him, and he sounded terrific on this subject. But you open it up, you'll be a wealthy country. You keep it closed, you're going to be a bankrupt country, which is what you are now. Essentially, you're a bankrupt country. You have one of the greatest energy fields, the North Sea oil, one of the greatest fields in the world. You know, the UK buys its energy from Norway, who gets the energy from the North Sea, from not as vibrant a part of the North Sea oil was. You're sitting on top of gold, better than gold, and you don't do anything with it. It doesn't work. You don't allow the oil companies in, and it doesn't work. And I spoke with your new prime minister. I was very impressed, and he sort of indicated to me, I said, look, you can be a wealthy country or a bankrupt country. You have your choice.
Well, there you have it. So, Anna, Trump saying that we risk becoming bankrupt, and I think he means that specifically in terms of energy.
He does.
But he also talks about the migration crisis. Let's start with energy, shall we?
He does. But this is Trump, isn't it, at his absolute best, telling the TV he's not going to tell us how to run our country, and then goes on to do exactly that. But the point is, he's not wrong. You know, he's absolutely right that we have an energy crisis in this country, and we also have a debt crisis. We owe £100,000 for every household at the moment. We're spending as a country the average wage of every worker in the country. So before you've paid any tax, the government has already spent all the money. So what Trump is saying is, you're going to go bankrupt if you carry on like that. That is just common sense. But you have a solution. You've got these oil reserves still in the North Sea. Get on and drill them. And he's absolutely right. And what makes me laugh, though, is it's quite clear from his conversation with Andy Burnham that Andy Burnham hasn't exactly committed to that.
No.
But he's going to have to now.
Yeah, well, this is the thing, Festus, right? BP said they're going. Is it BP who said the other day that they're basically they're going to pull out of the North Sea? This is terrible. This is absolutely terrible. And this is because there's no certainty in this country anymore. We're losing all of those resources anyway because private companies are going, do you know what, we've had enough. We've had enough of it all. And on top of all of that, not only have we got this energy crisis, but we've got a migration crisis.
And the problem is that we have a country now where we have one of the highest energy prices in the for manufacturing, for business in the developed world. So if you want to do business in the UK, what would be the incentive of you being able to set up a shop, in the UK compared to other countries where the energy prices are a lot cheaper? All of these input costs add to our competitiveness globally and domestically as well. And if we're not growing the economy, and if we don't have an environment that actually allows businesses to be able to thrive and to create jobs, all of these things are connected. And we just seem to have an energy policy that is just completely separated and divorced from reality. And that is something that I hope that, with a bit of nudge from President Trump on this occasion, that the Prime Minister actually listens.
Festus, let's stay with you, shall we? Do you think it's right that Andy Burnham has taken a holiday after just 2 weeks in the job?
Well, look, I don't mind people having a holiday every now and again, but as somebody who runs a business, I've got employees. Imagine me employing someone and then 2 weeks after they start their job, they want to take a holiday. I'm sorry, I just don't know if that is something that's going to work. Maybe that's an early precursor of the Employment Rights Act that the government are looking into, that the Prime Minister is starting to manifest here. But it doesn't seem to make sense to me. And now we have, is it Louise Haigh, what's her name? Who's not going to be the one in charge.
Oh, my God.
Yes.
don't hold back.
Yes, so she's the one who's in charge now while the Prime Minister's away.
This is the thing. No one really knows who Louise Haigh is. Most of the country haven't got a clue who she is, right? Let's be honest. But on top of all of that, this guy has a lot of problems to solve. We've got criminals, killers about to be released onto the street. At the same time, the Prime Minister's jetting off.
The funny thing about Louise Haigh is, if you sat in the House of Commons as I did, you never knew what colour her hair was going to be on any one given week. It was
gone
orange.
quite sensible these days,
and
Anna.
now she's Deputy PM. Suddenly she's looking.
Well, she's not quite Deputy PM, is she? She's First Secretary of State or something.
She's pretty senior.
Yeah.
But the point with this Andy Burnham thing really does annoy me, because he's had 2 weeks in the job and he's already clocking up. Most people are still unpacking the fact that we've got the most undemocratically elected PM ever, and he's already packing his holiday bags. I mean, he said he was going to do politics differently. No one knew that meant he was going to work from home in Manchester, move politics to Manchester, and he was going to do some 2 week on, 2 week off stint as if he's on an offshore oil rig. I mean, this just is not serious. We actually need a Prime Minister who, like Donald Trump was saying, is going to be focused, laser focused on our economy. We've got to get growth back into our economy. There's going to be laser focused on the immigration problem and laser focused on education and social care. You can't do that if you're going to be bunking off after 2 weeks in the job. It's a disgrace.
It's just interesting because Donald Trump also said that any country with windmills are losers. We have quite a lot
and will
of
lose
them.
their shares.
We do have quite a lot.
Would have loved to.
Not as many as France, though, Alex.
No, that's true, actually.
They're the biggest
well, that
losers.
makes a lot of sense, really, doesn't it? But Miatta Fahnbulleh, the new Energy Secretary, of course, I'm sure she wouldn't be welcoming these comments. And we do hope she'd come on GB News the other day. She was doing the round, and she decided not to come on, despite previously being a commentator on this very channel. So we do think the double standards there is quite severe, but there we go.
You definitely need to get her on, because she seems to have had some sort of a Damascene conversion.
Yeah.
She's now saying that the oil and gas are part out of the mix.
No,
Who
that's not what she was saying before.
Exactly.
Maybe President Trump has had an effect after all. Festus, let's look at this remarkable story, shall we? We've got 1 minute here. Jamaican drug dealer can stay in this country over fears he may join a gang if he goes back home.
But apparently it's okay for him to join a gang over here.
Oh.
I mean, and this is a guy who has had several strings of convictions. Look, we've got to get serious in Britain about clamping down on lawlessness. And in my opinion, we either have the rules or we don't. If someone commits a crime here and they're a foreign criminal and they're due for deportation, they need to be deported. To be worried about whether they can, get bread, in their country, or they can have, lollipops or whatever it is. I mean, that is just that's just ridiculous. This guy, he needs to be deported. The fear that he might join a gang in Jamaica, that should not be Britain's problem. That is his choice as an adult. That's his problem.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Festus, I think a lot of people would agree with you there. Anna and Festus, thank you very much for your company this morning. We'll see you again very soon.
Thanks, you too. All right, it's time now to get a Great British giveaway in. 60 grand in tax-free cash and a £5 gold bar. Here's the details.
Brilliant.
Welcome to Orlis Santi by Domes Resorts, where we're celebrating a golden summer. And you could be enjoying a golden year with an incredible £60,000 to be won. That's tax-free cash that you'll get to spend on anything you like. What would you do with it? You could relax knowing that we've got those day-to-day financial pressures sorted. Or find yourself celebrating in the lap of five-star luxury, somewhere like here, the Spritzeria. Plus, we'll give you a fine gold bullion bar worth over £5,000 that you can keep or gift to a loved one. Don't miss your chance to win over £65,000 worth of prizes.
For a chance to win £60,000 in tax-free cash and a real gold bar, text GOLD to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB22 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 21st of August. This is a network giveaway. Entries will be pooled. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Yes, good luck. Now, do stay with us. Still to come. At about 9:15 this morning, we're going to be speaking to Ben Ainsley, aren't we?
We are.
At Cows Week in the Isle of Wight. So we're really looking forward to that. 200th anniversary of Cows Week, so that'll be brilliant. We're also speaking to the Justice Secretary, Alex Norris, next. So do stay with us. That's all coming up after your weather.
Today's outlook: cool, calm and completely horizontal. Boxed Aircon sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello, good morning. Welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. A warm and humid day for many of us, especially towards the south and the east. Rain or showers, especially towards the north and the west, with thunderstorms for some. It's actually a damp start to the day for Scotland, for Northern Ireland. Heavy and persistent rain. Showers, meanwhile, moving through parts of Wales and the west of England. And the rain across Scotland and Northern Ireland breaks it into showers with thunderstorms likely for Northern Ireland. These slow-moving storms could cause impacts through the afternoon and evening, especially given the time of year. Drier towards the east and southeast, and with some sunshine and still another day. Temperatures into the low 30s and high humidity. It's going to feel really quite warm. Meanwhile, not feeling warm at all across northern Scotland. Persistent rain and low cloud expected with a keen breeze from the east. Here are these lively showers across central and southern Scotland with some rumbles of thunder mixed in. Likewise, slow-moving thunderstorms continuing into the evening for Northern Ireland. Hit and miss showers, central and western England as well as Wales, interspersed by some brighter spells, but the best of the sunshine as we end the day. East Anglia and the southeast, with the warmth continuing overnight. Another humid, muggy night to come for many. Areas of clouds swirling around the United Kingdom and some showers popping up just about anywhere. Very little meaningful rainfall in the south and southeast where it's most needed, but there could be a few drops here and there. More persistent wet weather continuing for the north of Scotland and Northern Ireland. And a warm start to Wednesday, but actually during Wednesday we see this change in wind direction, west to northwesterlies, bringing a fresher feel. Still mostly dry for England and Wales, sunny spells, and aside from a few showers in the north and west, a mostly fine day. Scotland and Northern Ireland, meanwhile, damp weather continuing and feeding on the cool side, fresher conditions towards the southeast.
Today's outlook: cool, calm and completely horizontal. Boxed Aircon sponsors the weather on GB News.
Thank you, Britain, for the thousands of you who are becoming friends of GB News each and every week.
Good morning, this is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. There is a collision on the M3 eastbound between junctions 14 and 13 in Eastleigh. The M4 eastbound is affected by a collision between junctions 17 and 16 in Swindon. The A428 is closed after the A1 near St Neots. North of the border, the M73 northbound between slips at junction 3 in has lane restrictions causing congestion. Across Wales, the A5 at Menai Bridge is closed. And on the trains, cross-country and Great Western Railway services have reduced service between Newport and Cardiff Central, with disruption on multiple routes. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Welcome to Augsust by Domes Resorts, where we're celebrating with an incredible £60,000 to be won. Plus, we'll give you a fine gold bullion bar worth over £5,000. Don't miss your chance to win over £65,000 worth of prizes.
For a chance to win, text GOLD to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB22 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 21st of August. This is a network giveaway. Entries will be pooled. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m. weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Bold. They are under no illusion. Ray, are you a human trafficker? Boundless. I've had enough of the nonsense, and I'm not afraid to say it.
Don't get us on the BBC.
Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines.
The smell of gasoline.
Should we be worried about it? From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos.
What I'm going to do now is they are throwing things out the car as we speak.
Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christie's tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Good morning. Prime Minister Andy Burnham is under fire after confirming that PC Andrew Harper's killers will be released from prison early.
Well, Harper's widow condemns the decision as an utter betrayal, with Burnham announcing that only grooming gang perpetrators, rapists and child sex offenders will be excluded from the early release scheme.
While speaking to GB News earlier, Shadow Crime and Policing Minister Matt Vickers slammed the decision.
This Labour government have done terrible things, but to release these people early, for those Labour MPs across the country who walk through those lobbies to support this, it is astounding, it is disgraceful, it is disgusting.
And with mounting backlash, is this really the right time for the Prime Minister, who's only been in the job for 2 weeks, to jet off on his summer holidays?
Earlier on, we spoke to Reform UK Chairman Lee Anderson about his party's plan to tow illegal migrants back to France.
He won't be breaking any laws if these are rescue missions, and they are rescue missions.
President Donald Trump tells GB News exclusively what he makes of Andy Burnham. That's as he shares his thoughts on Europe's migration crisis.
I think we're going to have a very good relationship. We'll see. I'm not going to tell him how to run his country, but I can tell you, immigration is an incredible problem for Europe.
26-year-old Afghan migrant is held by Greek authorities over the murder of a Scottish woman in Athens.
And elsewhere, is Andy Burnham the right man to back British farmers? We're live on a farm, getting an inside view on that shortly.
Elsewhere, the world's oldest and largest sailing regatta, Cows Week, begins in the Isle of Wight. We're going to be joined by the British Olympian Sir Ben Ainslie shortly.
A wet start to the day today, but not in those areas where rain is most needed. Find out more about the contrasts in weather up and down the country in the forecast coming up.
Good morning. It's just gone 9 o'clock. I'm Ellie Costello.
And I'm Alex Armstrong, and this is GB News Breakfast. Lots of people talking about this early release scheme this morning, Ellie. We've got here on Your Say Livy saying the Justice Minister says we need more prison places. What does that tell us about where this once great country is going? And I think that's a feeling, actually, the sentiment of that is something that people talk about all the time now. What happened to Britain? How have we got to a position where we have to release murderers, killers from prison? A country that used to rule the world, essentially, is now having to battle itself. And this is the terrible state of Britain in 2026.
It beggars belief, doesn't it? Phoebe has been in touch this morning saying, with all of this going on, I cannot believe that Andy Burnham has gone on holiday 2 weeks into his job. Others saying they can't believe that Louise Haigh has been left in charge. Loads of you actually saying that we're really enjoying Festus as a newspaper commentator.
He's brilliant, isn't he?
We've had loads of those views, so just wanted to reflect that. Loads of you saying that he's a great addition to the panel, so we'll keep Festus coming on, won't we? We really enjoyed chatting to him.
There is a consideration about Prime Ministers going on holiday, though, because I remember when this was discussed about Keir Starmer taking a break when he'd become Prime Minister as well, and it's a similar sort of time. The counter-argument to this is that we actually are struggling to get good, talented people into Parliament now. And as a result of that, the quality of Parliament has got lower and lower. And I think we can all feel it, right? I think there's a real feeling that British politicians just nowhere near the standard they used to be. And actually, if we're going to get those good people in, do we actually need to give them a little bit of a bit of space to have holidays and breaks so they can refresh and come back? That being said, 2 weeks into your job,
it's optics, isn't it? It's optics. It doesn't look good. It doesn't look good when there's so much going on in this country. You know? I mean, you may argue that it's recess. The House isn't sitting at the moment. Laws can't be passed, so perhaps now is a good time to take a break. But 2 weeks into a job... As Anna said, it just doesn't look serious, does it?
It doesn't, and we've had Justice Ministers before. I think even the Prime Minister, actually, Keir Starmer, should I say, the former Prime Minister, may have cut his holiday early when there was the Southport riots happening at the same time. So this is the problem. Actually, a lot of what happens during the summer period of time is that people start to discuss politics. We get a lot of these serious stories happening, and actually we're finding that government is nowhere to be found. And we had this with wars, and a previous Justice Minister was slammed for not being in Britain during when a war kicked off. And the problem is the world is so crazy. Britain is so crazy now. You kind of need to be here. It's kind of a 24/7 job now being Prime Minister.
And people want to see you at the helm, taking leadership seriously. And Mike says, I get the impression Andy Burnham is not taking this Prime Minister job seriously. Another saying, Burnham off on holiday, feels like he's just a part-time PM. That's from Percy. But again, at the same time, when it comes to being a serious Prime Minister, one of the problems that Andy Burnham's now got is that he's become a TikTok Prime Minister all of a sudden. That seems to be the overwhelming feeling from a lot of people abroad when they're looking at Britain. He was like holding a piece of bread up the other day. You can just speak to us like we're human beings as well, you know, like we are. We want to hear from politicians in a concise way sometimes. I mean, David Cameron never really went around putting pieces of bread rolls up in the head, did he? No, he certainly didn't. How politics has changed. Let us know what you think on that one. We are waiting to speak to Alex Norris, the Justice Secretary. We do have eyes on him, so hopefully we'll talk to him very, very soon. We'll bring that to you in the next few minutes. But in the meantime, should we talk about something very important, which is British farming.
Yes, we should. Because despite building a reputation as a proper city slicker, Andy Burnham is no stranger to the countryside.
Well, in fact, Mr Burnham has previously shown support for rural and farming communities, saying that he intends to revisit the controversial inheritance tax changes that were introduced by his predecessor.
So, what should farmers expect from the new Prime Minister? Will he be an ally?
Well, let's speak now to GB News' national reporter, Sophie Reaper. Very good morning to you, Sophie. What are farmers telling you this morning?
Well, good morning to you both. Of course, we know it's been a very tricky past couple of years for our farmers. So let's get straight into this morning, because we can join my guest now, Colin Hanson. Or Colin, thank you so much. I know that you are a farmer and a business owner. So we've got this new Prime Minister now. Give me your thoughts on Andy Burnham, just initially.
I think initially one of the first acts from Andy was to suggest that a £30 million injection into farming, called the Farmers Collaboration Fund, would be a good move to help farmers. Unfortunately, when you read the small print, it seems to be a conglomeration of the usual suspects: the consultants, the advisors, the businesses. None of it seemed to think there was any importance in feed security or food production. So that's not a good omen. Then when we see discussions about things like land tax possibly impacting farmers, the idea is nonsensical. How can you value this, a farm? It isn't a malleable thing, it's not a machine, it's the land. And the land has a nominal value. A farmer probably can't realise that value, yet you're going to tax him on it? That's crazy. So the point is, probably from my point of view, the Prime Minister and the government is simply a succession of governments who've lost sight of something really vital and important, that food security, particularly in the world that we're living in today, should be the priority. It isn't. For all that is right about it, the words environment and sustainability underpin nearly every document that you receive. That's fine. But let me just put a couple of statistics. Now, I've tried not to go statistic mad. Farmers, less than 1% of our population. So insignificant. They provide 60% of our food. They manage 75% of our land. And here's the kicker. The downstream from those farmers' production employs 4.5 million people. So when we, for instance, do a trade deal, and it's announced with a fanfare what a great deal we've done, let's take the Australian Free Trade Agreement. I put that in context. For British farmers, it means that within 10 years, it's a scaling up operation, it could take out something like 700,000 cows and several million sheep. That's hill farmers. What do UK hill farmers do? They take least favoured land and they make it productive. They make it green productive because those animals are reared. From the greater good, the society, the environment, don't they produce the national parks, the countryside that everybody wants to walk in and enjoy? Yes, they do. So it isn't as simple as we are importing. We're exporting jobs, we're exporting taxes, we're exporting the knowledge and expertise that comes from those farmers. So going forward, you can look at the government and say, let's look historically, and we'll go back. In 1933, there was a collapse in milk confidence. Milk confidence went. They flooded out of the industry. Oh, says the government, problem. Milk Marketing Board was formed to give a fair deal to farmers. Fine, worked. 1947, the Attlee government did something called the Agriculture Act, because they'd learned through the Second World War that we had become 70% importers of food, and we were probably one ship away from starvation if the U-boat campaign had worked. The Attlee government said, this is crazy. We must never again be dependent on imported food. Agreed. So what happened? That bill was brilliant. It guaranteed farmers a fair price and it guaranteed them access to a market like Canada does today. Canada says, right, we will pay farmers, if I say dairy farmers, we'll pay them the cost of production plus.
Colin, I've got to leave it there, but just really quickly, if I had to ask you, do you trust Andy Burnham to do right by farmers? In one word, do you trust the new Prime Minister?
2 words, no chance.
Colin, we'll leave it there. Thank you so much. There we are. Now, it's been a difficult time for farmers. They've seen multiple prime ministers since the new wave of inheritance tax and things like that coming. Very difficult times. And you just heard from Colin there. Do they trust the new Prime Minister? Not really.
OK, thanks, Sophie. Well, a DEFRA spokesperson has said we are backing our farmers with a record £11.8 billion for sustainable and profitable farming over this Parliament, protecting the sector in trade deals and negotiating a new trade agreement with the EU, which will make it easier for British food to reach our largest export market.
Our 25-year farming roadmap sets out a clear vision for the future of our farmers so they can have confidence once more to invest and feed the nation with pride for generations to come.
Now, the Prime Minister, Andy Burnham, is facing pressure after it emerged that the 2 men convicted over the 2018 killing of the police officer Andrew Harper could still be eligible for early release from prison.
Well, that's after Andy Burnham announced that offenders convicted of grooming gang rape will be excluded from the scheme.
Well, under the changes, rape and child sexual offences will be added to the list of crimes that are ineligible for early release.
But questions are now being raised over why 2 men convicted over PC Harper's death do not appear on that list.
Well, joining us live now from Westminster is the Justice Secretary, Alex Norris. First of all, Mr Norris, thank you so much for your patience. I know that there are a few technical issues on our end there, so thank you very much for waiting for us. And thank you as well for appearing on GB News Breakfast. You're one of the very few government ministers who do so, and there's very important things to discuss, so we do really appreciate you joining us on our programme. Talking about important things to discuss, please can we talk about the early release scheme? Because one of the papers, The Telegraph, this morning reporting that it was you who had to inform PC Harper's mother that the killers of her son are going to be released from prison early. Can I start with a very honest question to you, which was how was that phone conversation for you? What did you tell her and what was her response to that news?
Well, morning, Ellie. Thank you for having me. I'm not going to go into the details of a direct conversation with an affected family member, but it's suffice to say that she was very clear about her disappointment with the decision that has been taken and her anger and her sense of feeling let down, which I think is something she said publicly, so I can share here. I mean, we have to remember, Ellie, why we're where we are. You know, when we came to government, we were in a situation where we're days away from prison places running out. That means nobody getting arrested. That means people being bailed back home even after serious offences. We are building lots of prison places, 14,000 over the next few years, but we've made important changes through the Sentencing Act to make sure we don't run out of prison places. Without these changes, we run out of prison places in October or November of this year. Now, me as a new Justice Secretary, Andy Burnham as a new Prime Minister, have heard the concerns about some of the people possibly involved in this. So we paused it and we've looked again. We have been able to, as you said, remove rapists, to remove child sex abusers from scope of that release from prison. However, you know, we would like to have gone further, but we can't. This is as far as we can go and still have prison places. And I know that's very disappointing and upsetting to victims and their families, but it's the best we could manage at this time.
Yeah, the widow of PC Harper has called this an utter betrayal. Now, the Prime Minister, the new Prime Minister, Andy Burnham, when he took over from Keir Starmer, promised he'd look into that case. Is there not something to be said, though? We had Harper's Law, we've had so much fallout from that case that perhaps the government really could have had a look at ensuring people who don't commit serious crimes against our police officers and our emergency service workers, that there would be some exceptions made here, particularly for these 2 utterly vile individuals who sneered and laughed their way through the courts, who are now going to be back out, I'm sure, with a lot of conditions. But Secretary of State, I'm sure you can appreciate the British public feel very animated. Here we are, the picture on the screen here for the viewers of those men. The public are incensed about this. What reassurance can you give them?
I mean, people are angry, and most importantly, the victims and the families are angry about some of these changes. I mean, part of the challenge here is the nature of what they were convicted for. One of the individuals, the driver, is not in scope because of the nature of his sentence. However, the other 2 convicted of manslaughter are in scope because of the nature of their sentence. At the time, there was a lot of concern around whether the powers and whether the sentences available to judges are strong enough. That's why we've changed the law, so that now an individual who causes the loss of life of an emergency service worker would be subject to life sentence. So that has changed, but granted does not impact in this case. To answer your question on whether we could find an individual way, there simply isn't one. We can only work on offence type, and in this case we have to look at manslaughter as a whole. We've been able to, as I say, remove rape and to remove child sex abuse, but we've not been able to remove manslaughter. I mean, the point on control is really important. I wouldn't want GB News viewers to think that these are individuals in any cases here coming out on, you know, low-level licence. You know, this will be the probation officers will have the widest access to the broadest set of probation powers ever. You know, whether that's around drugs and alcohol, whether that's around what public places they can go to, an assumption for the first time on tagging. So there are going to be very significant controls for any individuals who are leaving prison ahead of what that would have been their usual date.
Forgive me, Mr Norris, because I know that you're new to your brief, but we have been at crisis point since 2024. We're now in 2026. We're still talking about prisons being at crisis point, and even with these measures that we are talking about today, we've got prison officers saying that we will be at crisis point again next spring. The can just keeps being kicked down the road, doesn't it? What is actually being done to solve this prisons crisis? Are we going to see emergency legislation in order for planning to be rushed through, for more prisons to be built? There's been talk of bunk beds being put within cells. There must be something we can do which is better than killers being released out onto the street. Surely the safety of British people has to come first.
I mean, I'd want to assure viewers that, you know, we are doing those kind of things, whether it's bunk beds and making sure that prison space is used as effectively as possible. I can't accept the characterisation there in terms of when the estate becomes saturated. I do totally agree with you, and I would argue, Ellie, long before 2024. I mean, the previous government built a net of 500 places in 14 years. It's extraordinary, kind of asleep at the wheel on this. But the people are tired of that crisis and that cycle of emergency release. That is why we're doing what we're doing, building 14,000 more places. The release scheme through the Sentencing Act is much stronger as a result, but so that in the spring, so that next year I'm not back having these conversations with you again to ensure our longer term future. And then on top of that, the Prime Minister's asked me to go further on the use of the women's estate, for example, to go further on our removals of foreign offenders. I'm pleased that we've increased that rate by over a third on our predecessors, but we have to do much more in that space. To look at people on indeterminate sentences who've served their original sentence many times over. We need to do all of those things. But as I say, making these very difficult choices at this time gets us out of that rolling crisis, and that's why it's the right thing to do.
Well, look, Mr Secretary Alex Norris, thank you so much for joining us this morning. We do appreciate your time, and good luck solving this crisis. I know the entire country does want a solution to this, so we do wish you the best of luck getting there in the end. Thank you very much, Alex Norris, Justice Secretary there.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now, at 19 minutes past 9, more than 7,000 sailors are taking to the Solent today as Cowes Week, which is the world's oldest and most prestigious sailing regatta in the world, gets into full swing.
Well, the event has been a fixture of British sporting, or the calendar at least, for almost 2 centuries now, and we're very pleased to say we are now going to be joined by the Olympian Sir Ben Ainsley. Good morning to you, Sir Ben. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. I think perhaps we should just start on the importance of this event 200 years in.
Yeah, morning. It really is an incredible event, Cowes Week. 200 years, like you say. We know very well the America's Cup, 175 years or so. That's the oldest international sporting trophy. Also started here around the Isle of Wight off Cowes, but 200 years, that must put it up there in the record books.
And so, Ben, you've won Olympic golds, the America's Cup Challenger Series, countless regattas. Do you get the buzz from Cowes Week? Do you still get the buzz?
Oh, absolutely. It's an incredible event down here, and I think what's so special about it is you've got 650 boats, so what, 5,000 odd competitors, but all in a different range of types of boats. You know, small boats, you know, large racing yachts. You've got people that may never even sail before, let alone raced, going up against hardened professionals. And the atmosphere, both on and off the water, is just electric. It's a great place to be.
Ben, of course, we're a great sailing nation for so many reasons. Are you excited about the future generations coming up? I know you have a massive training facility that you spend a lot of time investing into as well. What does it look like for the future of sailing in Britain?
Yeah, I am. We're here racing with our Athena Pathway programme, which is our route to getting the talented youth and female athletes into the America's Cup with our GB1 team, which you'll be happy with that sort of plug there with GB News. And you know, it's a great opportunity to get some of those talented youngsters out on the water. So I'm sailing with them most of this week and really enjoying getting to know some of these young athletes and putting them through their paces to hopefully get into both America's Cup and events like SailGP in the future.
Doesn't it, for putting sailors through their paces and testing even the very best sailor. What have the conditions been like for you this week? I know it's been quite hot, hasn't it?
Oh, the conditions are amazing. I know they're causing challenges around the country, but we're fortunate down here on the south coast with the sea breezes that it's a little bit cooler. It's beautiful, you know, sunny conditions, fantastic winds, quite strong winds for the rest of the week. So absolutely perfect for sailboat racing.
Ben, as well, just a brief final question to you. Technology is moving so rapidly now. What sort of innovation are we seeing in sailing?
Well, sailing's really transformed over the last 10 years or so with the advent of foiling boats. So by foiling, you know, lifting up out of the water that we've seen in events like the America's Cup and in SailGP. And these boats now are going over 100 kilometres an hour, which for any kind of watercraft are impressive speeds. But for a sailing boat, you know, that's quite phenomenal. And that... Sorry, got some interesting horn actually going on here. But that alongside the shorter courses that we do, the stadium racing that we now do closer to the shoreline for the spectators, it's making it really compelling for a whole new generation of fans. You know, not just sort of traditional sailing fans, but sporting fans getting into a new sport. And that's great for that, like, as we're talking about, that new generation of fans and sailors coming through. So it's exciting times for the sport of sailing.
Oh, it certainly is. One of Britain's greatest ever Olympians and four-time Olympic gold medalist, Sir Ben Ainslie. Been really good to have you on the programme. Thank you so much for joining us on GB News Breakfast.
Maybe Sir Ben could get you on, I'd like to see that on Breakfast sailing boat, perhaps one morning. That would be fun, wouldn't it? That would be fun.
Need to tie my hair up.
Thank you, Sir Ben Ainslie. We really appreciate your time. Thank you very much. And we've also joined in the studio by Britain's newsroom, Miriam Cates and Andrew Pearce. Good morning.
Morning. Morning. They're the kind of small boats that we like on GB.
Yes,
Very good,
I like that.
very good.
I like that.
Fantastic weather for them. Well, lots, of course, on Britain's newsroom. Early release. Partially cancelled. Great news for the grooming gang victims. They've been heard, but not for the widow of PC Andrew Hall.
Really bad, I think, actually. I think they should have... The Prime Minister said he was going to do everything in his power before he got into Number 10 to stop this. Well, he's...
Is that the best he's got?
Is that the best he's got? And he's going on holiday. He's gone on holiday now, and I think that will cause quite a lot of controversy. Not with my colleague Miriam Cates, who thinks it's well-deserved and richly deserved, but I think he perhaps should...
I don't say well-deserved.
Stuck around for another week.
People should have holidays.
Yeah, well,
they are under the bus, Andrew.
Well, you can smell the argument already. It's going to rage for 2.5 hours. Don't go anywhere. First of all, your weather.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello, good morning. Welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. A warm and humid day for many of us, especially towards the south and the east. Rain or showers, especially towards the north and the west, with thunderstorms for some. It's actually a damp start to the day for Scotland, for Northern Ireland. Heavy and persistent rain. Showers, meanwhile, moving through parts of Wales and the west of England. And the rain across Scotland and Northern Ireland breaks it into showers with thunderstorms likely for Northern Ireland. These slow-moving storms could cause impacts through the afternoon and evening, especially given the time of year. Drier towards the east and southeast, and with some sunshine, and still another day with temperatures into the low 30s and high humidity. It's going to feel really quite warm. Meanwhile, not feeling warm at all across northern Scotland. Persistent rain and low cloud expected with a keen breeze from the east. Here are these lively showers across central and southern Scotland with some rumbles of thunder mixed in. Likewise, slow-moving thunderstorms continuing into the evening for Northern Ireland. Hit and miss showers, central and western England as well as Wales, interspersed by some brighter spells, but the best of the sunshine as we end the day East Anglia and the southeast, with the warmth continuing overnight. Another humid, muggy night to come for many. Areas of clouds swirling around the United Kingdom and some showers popping up just about anywhere. Very little meaningful rainfall in the south and southeast where it's most needed, but there could be a few drops here and there. More persistent wet weather continuing for the north of Scotland and Northern Ireland. And a warm start to Wednesday, but actually during Wednesday we see this change in wind direction, west to northwesterlies, bringing a fresher feel. Still mostly dry for England and Wales, sunny spells, and aside from a few showers in the north and west, a mostly fine day. Scotland and Northern Ireland, meanwhile, damp weather continuing and feeling on the cool side, fresher conditions towards the southeast.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Thank you, Britain, for making GB News Radio such a huge success. Whether you're in the car, on the go, or listening at home, thank you for choosing us as your radio station.
Good morning. This is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. The M2 eastbound exit at junction 6 near Chatham is closed.